Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Elite Racing Network, where tonight we bring you a full distance race here in the Grand National Mark Rebilas Photography Series from Iowa Speedway. We got 250 laps tonight from Iowa. We are wrapping up qualifying right as we speak here. Trey Holmes is on the pole with Jonathan Cutlip, Ethan Burrell, Matthew Weeks, David Tooker. It's like an all-pro edge showing here in the top 5. Joining me tonight is Carlos, our great producer, and Josh Adams as well. Boys, what are you looking forward to seeing tonight, and what is your early take here on this Pro Edge dominance in qualifying?
Yeah, I'll just be looking to see if they can keep it green and get us out of the slump we've been in as far as the amount of laps we spend under yellow.
It's going to be something that's very important for these drivers to do, especially at a track like this where you don't have too much banking to work with, and all tracks are going to be side by side with very minimal space.
Yeah, and one thing that we always have to deal with here at Iowa is the tire wear, how the tires fall off, where the lane moves. This is a track that sometimes it stays right around the bottom, sometimes it stays right around the top. Josh, you're notoriously well here, one of the better guys at Iowa Speedway week in, week out. And what's your take on this race tonight, and where do you think this line's going to go?
The best way to do it, I haven't ran any laps here tonight, but I think the best way to do it eventually is just going to be dropping to the bottom and just like we saw at Bristol a couple weeks ago, just run the bottom, ride there until you're comfortable. It's going to save a lot of tire, and then once you get to that lap that you feel comfortable, you can go just about anywhere and make any pass.
And as we're talking about what we expect tonight, the starting grid is rolling across your screen here, like we mentioned. Trey Holmes, Jonathan Cutlip on the front row, Ethan Burrell, Matthew Weeks, David Tooker, Jesse Racimus, Hunter Smith, William White, Tyler Fody, and Chad Frankenfield will round out the top 10. We have Tommy Ryan just outside there in 11th, Leighton Norgard, Thomas Coonan, Jared Rexing, Ethan Stanley will round out your top 15. And then we have Tyler Pop. Tate Lytle must have missed a boat there on the rest of Pro Edge tonight, starting all the way back there in the 17th position. Seth Rawls, Scott Crump, and Corey Abbott will round out your top 20. Josh, why don't you take it from here?
21st, we've got Big Scarborough, Zach Evans, Jeff Green, Dustin Dewar, Justin Wadsworth, Andrew Hardcastle, Gavin Higgins, Joe Francis, Michael Hosick, and Josh Robin, 30th. 31st, we've got Michael Goodman, followed by Frank Fody, Gerald Campbell, Mark Rebilas, Jeff Ryan, Brian Carrington, Jay Connor, Connor Thompson, David Carpenter, Kyle Henshaw, David Woods, and Gilberto Gomera shotgun on the field.
Yeah, we have 41 drivers out on track. Really wish I could be out there with the fellow boys, but unfortunately, not really unfortunately, I'm here in the broadcast booth with a couple of different boys, and I'm going to have some fun time here tonight, full length at Iowa. And, can you guys quickly tell me what's the number one thing these drivers should be careful with?
Well, I'll let Josh take that. Josh is the guy that's really good here at Iowa, like I mentioned there earlier. So, Josh, what are some things to be mindful of here on the start?
This track is either notoriously tight or notoriously loose, so it's making sure you have plenty of grip on lap 1, just to get in line. It's really hard to get in line, but once these guys get spread out, they should be able to take care of each other pretty well.
Well, we are about, 3/4 of a lap from green, so I will ask you both here. Who do you guys think will win this race? Go ahead. We'll start with you, Carlos. Who's your pick to win tonight?
You never want to count out the pole sitter, especially with their pro edge drivers. I have a feeling Trey Holmes is going to ease this victory in here tonight. He may not lead all the laps, but I think he's going to be there at the very end.
How's Sam? I'm race control here tonight, so I'm going to pick somebody between first and 42nd.
Well, I'll take Scott Crump tonight. Scott's really good at Richmond, and this place is just a little bit bigger Richmond, so I think if we get some long green flag runs, it'll be Scott's race to lose there at the end as the pace car is off. The field's in the hands of Trey Holmes here, heading down towards the line, and the green is out. Great jump there for Trey. Little push from Ethan. Cutlip getting a good start there as well. Heading down into turn number 1. Trey and Cutlip still side by side as John goes well up the racetrack there. They stay side by side off of turn 2, heading down the backstretch, heading into turn number 3. Still that drag race. John goes right to the top, leaving a lot of room there in the middle. They come off of turn 4 down the front stretch, and John Cutlip is going to lead the first lap, take the lead as well, getting clear down into turn number 1. And that gets our front 5 or so guys single file there, as you see John and then Trey. Then we got Ethan and Tooker. Weeks under attack from Hunter Smith there at the back of the screen. Weeks probably trying to go into that tire conservation mode here if I had to guess. Trying to stay right on the bottom there. You see it, he pulls way down to the bottom there at the back of the screen. As John is driving well off right now. Hopefully he's not burning his stuff up, but Hunter Smith moving to the top. He's going to try to go ahead and get David Tooker now as well.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering if John was taking care of his stuff or not. I noticed he went up to the top to try and get the lead as quick as possible, but he's still just driving off, so it's hard telling if he's in there saving or not.
Well, if you could talk to Cutlip right now, what would you say to him?
Smooth and steady. Just don't slide the right rear, and maybe back off the corner entries a car length or so, just until you feel comfortable.
Yeah, and driving off like this, you know, maybe we're just so used here, like you said at the start of the broadcast there, you know, these last few weeks we've had a enormous amount of yellow flags in these last handful of races, so hopefully tonight we don't get that as much and get us a long green flag run. Maybe get through a set of green flag stops tonight at some point. We'll have to see how that shakes out. As John's still driving away over Trey, we got Tooker, Hunter Smith, like I mentioned, on the charge up there. Taking a look back through the field, there's Tate Lytle, Scott Crump as well. There goes the 29 looking for a spot, or the 20, excuse me. I believe that's Gavin Higgins in the 20. Trying to make a move. I know he's looking for sponsorship out there. You got Joe Francis back there behind him. There's Chad Frankenfield. Typically we get a look at Chad in the back of the field or in the midfield there, and he's 3 wide or 4 wide. Not very often we look back here and he's single filed out.
Yeah, Chad said he's done taking it easy on these boys. He's been roughed up a lot recently. You know, people are used to getting roughed up by him, but I think he's going to start taking that personally. We'll see how much harder he's driving tonight.
Well, he said he wasn't going to cut him any brakes, and he's right on the back of Tyler Fody there, but I was kind of wondering if he would just give him the bumper down there in 3 and 4. He did not. Everybody funneling around the bottom, trying to save tires if I had to guess. Look back through there. There's Ethan Stanley on the top. Very, very few guys moving up the racetrack. Everybody getting single filed out. And what's this tell you, Joe? We got a Frank Fody spun on the backstretch. We're wrecking Dustin Dewar down into turn 3 as well.
I can't believe I caught that live.
Frank Fody looks to be pretty clean here.
Yeah, before we see the replays, I feel like what that was telling me was everybody was kind of following the same way to go about it. Just run the bottom and save your stuff, because that's just the best way around here until they were ready to race.
Ooh, I'm not sure there. Couldn't tell from that angle which car came up, which car came down. It's not terrible damage on the Fody machine. Taking another look here, they're 2 wide. Dusty definitely climbing up the track, but the 41 definitely came down a little bit off the wall as well, but I think Dusty was expecting to be right against the wall and was really shoving out there in a hurry. I think if we can look at that one more time and see just how fast Dusty was coming out there, I don't think he was leaving a whole lot of room there for Frank.
Couple takers down Pear Road, by the way. Not too many, just a few. And by just a few, see Dustin Dewar, Andrew Hardcastle, Joe Francis, Frank Vody, who we saw involved, and Carpenter.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, a lot of guys coming to getting tires, and even though that was only about eight laps or so of green flag racing on the tires, there will be a definite advantage to those guys who just came and got tires. But they do not want to see a rash of cautions or another one in 10 or 15 laps, because if you use a set now, you really need to see a 60 or 70 lap run in order to not be down a set of tires at some point. And I believe Race Control just gave the tally. Josh, I'll let you do the honors of what you saw there in that incident.
Yeah, it looks like Frank got just a tad bit loose off of 2, but yeah, I don't think it caused Dustin to do anything differently. I just see Dustin come off of turn 2, run up a few lanes like you had mentioned, and got into the left rear of the 41, so we assessed the tally onto the 32 of Dustin Dewar.
There it is, tally on the 32, as we are working our first yellow flag of the night with Jonathan Cutlip, Ethan Burrell, Hunter Smith, David Tooker, Trey Holmes, our top 5. We got Jesse Racimus, William White, Matthew Weeks, Tyler Fody, and Chad Frankenfield are our top 10. 42 guys still running. No severe contact there in that wreck. Nobody got too destroyed or had anything get broke. I believe we will get the 1 to go this time.
Yeah, we do.
And like I mentioned there, right when that flag was coming out, when you saw everybody running the bottom there, Josh, what does this do now for, let's say, Cutlip? He looked like he went a little bit harder there on those tires than some of those other guys. So boxing them back together, is that going to be a detriment to Cutlip, or the tires getting cooled down? Are they still pretty even?
I think getting him cooled down, he's probably still pretty close to even. John's pretty smart. He knew what he was doing out there, so I'm pretty confident he was still taking care of his stuff. I don't think he'll be at much of a disadvantage, if any.
Worked through 3 and 4, and John did pick the top there in that yellow machine. So Ethan Burrell is going to be on the bottom. Pace car is off. A little bit of a blink there out of the 19. Green is out. What a restart up there at the front. Jesse Racimus, that third car in that outside line, was not ready to go there. It looked like he might have thought there was still another lap of yellow. As Cutlip gets clear down into the corner, the battle is for second. 37-19 side by side there for P2. Heading down into turn number 3. I think the 19 is going to be in the lane here as they leave turn 4. Tooker will get second from Ethan Burrell. Hunter Smith and Jesse Racimus all get single filed out there after that restart. There you see Trey Holmes, Matthew Weeks side by side along with Chad Frankenfield there and William White. Oh, Jesse's going to try to clear himself. We're wrecking Chad Frankenfield. Matthew Weeks is involved. Tyler Fody might have snuck through. Tyler Pop is in there. William White is in there. Tate Lytle is stopped on the backstretch. Not sure if he picked up any damage.
Yeah, I don't think Matthew's going to be too happy on that one as the first car to get involved, but that took out a few good cars there.
By the way, I can see 3 drivers have meatball flags. Jesse Racimus, Tyler Pop, and Matthew Weeks all got meatballs.
As hard as it looked like Chad hit Matthew Weeks, I'm not seeing a whole lot of damage on that Chad Frankenfield machine. Here it is. This is where Jesse tries to come up and clear himself, gets hit by Weeks. Weeks goes around. Tyler Pop comes in. That's pretty significant damage there on the Matthew Weeks machine. One guy who did a great job, we're looking at him here, Tate Lytle, is going to pull down to the inside. He sees all the cars wrecking. He just stops. Just comes to a dead stop. Here's where on board with the Jesse Racimus. Oh, Trey Holmes was the guy that we didn't mention. Looks like he picked up some damage there in that wreck as well. Another guy who I'm not sure about if he made it through or not was Tyler Fody. Taking a look back here through the field. Oh, the 17 gets turned in the check up there. And then he gets down into the 22. Frank just stops. A lot of chaos and calamity there. Fresh off a restart. Riding on board here with Kyle Hanshaw. He pulls to the inside. He just stops as well. Great job stopping. A great job there by most of the guys in the field. To sit, stop, know that, you know, not running in there into that wreck.
Who did you say you were curious about?
Tyler Fody. It was who I was curious about because I know all that happened right in his lap, and I'm not sure if he picked up a piece of it or not.
Go here on board with the nose cam. Oh, excuse me, that's not Tyler Fody. There we go. Here we go.
Yes. So Fody sees the wreck. He's able to.
Wow.
I'll tell you what. He's got that horseshoe shoved sideways and clear up somewhere. If you get my drift right there, because that was. Every week we see Tyler Fody miss these wrecks just by a little bit, and it's incredible. Nonetheless, that wreck took out a lot of heavy hitters. Matthew Weeks is still sitting on pit road. He's already lost a lap. Jesse's already lost a lap. Chad Frankenfield is on pit road right now as we speak. He's trying to fix some of his damage. I think from what I understand, he might have some motor damage, so the body doesn't look terrible, but we know how hard he hit that Matthew Weeks machine. Michael Hossack's got a lot of damage. William White, we saw him spinning back there. Tyler Popp, we saw him driving and get a piece of that wreck. A lot of guys. There's Trey Holmes. Trey Holmes looks pretty clean. He got a little piece of it, but it doesn't look that bad at all.
So before we go back to the green here, I did assess the tally to the 70. There was a little bit of initial net code, but the trajectory to the 70 off of 2, they were going to wreck regardless of it, and I did receive word that he is going to appeal post-race.
Based on that replay, I'm not sure I would have appealed that, but I guess we'll see. Another car out here that I'm seeing with damage on the nose is Jeff Green as well. I know we're getting ready to restart, but he did not pit. Jeff Green does have some pretty good damage to the nose of his machine. Field once again in the hands of Jonathan Cutlip. Green is out. Great start there for John once again. Gets clear. The battle once again for second between Tooker and Ethan Burrell. Looks like Tooker's going to win that battle. Hunter Smith quickly moves to the top.
Ooh,
he's going to take third. Head down to turn 3. Hunter Smith is the guy right now that is on the move. Tyler Fody also now trying to put Ethan Burrell back another spot. We saw him running second there just a couple cautions ago. These restarts have not worked out very well for Ethan Burrell. As Fody's going to get around him. Now Ethan Stanley smelling a little bit of blood in the water, trying to make something happen. Back to single file.
And speaking of Hunter Smith, it's always good to be on the move, but you know, on iRacing, Iowa's not one of them places that you necessarily want to be on the move right after a restart, so we'll have to see how it shakes out for him.
Yeah, like you mentioned, this is a place that has, you know, some tire fall off, and typically some guys can burn their stuff up, but those cautions that we talked about, they are here as well in Iowa. They have followed us out here into the middle of these cornfields.
Oh yeah, with that track position is very important here because it's very hard to make a pass on the bottom. So if you can get the passes done early and just hold your position, maybe you'll be able to stay up there through all the cautions we might have.
Yeah, and one thing that to kind of make a note about here, Chad talked about how aggressive he was going to be. Well, now Chad's back there outside the top 30, and you see just there at the back of the screen, there are cars running 2 and 3 wide, and I am sure Chad is somewhere right in the middle of it back there. I mean, those guys are running from the apron, or from the yellow line all the way up to the wall back there. And there's a lot of fast guys back there like Trey Holmes and Chad Frankenfield. Not quite sure how much damage he has. Matthew Weeks, I believe, is back in the race as we'll have to see how that works out for those guys. And there's Tate Lytle back there as well. As soon as we talk about it, he's back there making a 3-wide maneuver. Trying to make something happen on the bottom, right in there behind Scott Crump. They come off of turn 2, still 3-wide. Tate trying to make this pass, but it's Joe Francis isn't making it easy. Frank Fody running the top. Come off of turn number 4. Has gotten down to 2 wide. Joe has lost the momentum. Gotten in line, and there's Chad trying to poke his nose in the middle of 3 wide back there too, and he's going to make contact. Oh, save it. Oh,
that
into
might be
the inside
15
wall.
regardless.
74 heavy damage into that inside wall right there.
Now, can you guys reiterate what is the rule on tallies that aren't cautions, or contact that doesn't result in cautions?
The rule on tallies is it's the Wild West. It's 50-50. You don't know.
Yeah, if we deem somebody causing severe damage, basically, like if somebody wrecks somebody under green, it doesn't bring out a caution, and either they end up on pit road with a meatball type thing, or I can just basically see severe damage on that person's race car, then we could deem it a tally.
So is that something you're going to go back and look at there? It's awfully ironic that we were talking about Chad making it 3 wide as he tried to shove his nose 3 wide, and the guy goes around off of that front bumper of that 15 machine back there.
Yeah, we'll look at just about anything that they asked me to look at, so I got to be able to find it.
We're riding on board here with the battle for 5th. Tyler Fody, Ethan Burrell, Ethan Stanley. So we ride on board with the Blue Egg marketing machine here. Blue Egg Marketing is the marketing department for small business, and they want to see Ethan Stanley get up here in this top 5, have a shot to win this thing here in about 220 odd laps here. So he's looking there, kind of opening up his middle a little bit, trying to diamond it just a bit. One thing to watch tonight with Ethan Stanley is we talk about tire wear. Ethan Stanley typically is a guy who wears his tires out a little bit more than some other guys, so he has gotten better at that. Like I noticed at Dover earlier this season, he did a great job on the long run. So we take a look back here through the field. There we see Gerald Campbell working the top side, trying to make some moves here on the top. Gerald with a great run in the truck race last night. I believe he finished in 6th place. A caution-free truck race last night at Sonoma.
Yeah, Gerald did a lot better than I did in that race, so props to Gerald, and that would be basically props to everybody because I did pretty terrible.
Yeah, there were 11 corners out there last night. How many of them did you find a way to off track or spin out of?
Probably at least 5 of them.
Yeah, rough night there for Josh Adams in the Truck Series, but it was the first one this year, I believe, so I think you're still doing all right. Top 3 in points, right?
Yeah, any road courses that you find me at, you might as well just chalk me up to a back marker, and if I finish somewhere in the top 15, something has went terribly wrong.
As we take a look back here, I'm going to tell you what, that 8 machine is trying to rip the fence here, higher than most are tonight. So we do a little picture-in-picture. Taking a look there at Cutlip, Tooker. We got a battle for 3rd right now. Tyler Fody. You mentioned it about Hunter Smith. All of a sudden, I think he's became a little bit of a roadblock for these guys at the front. His tires might be abused.
Yeah, and you see that. You see a line of them trying to take the spots there on the outside. I think they know that he's about to go backwards, so they're going to pounce on him as soon as they can.
Yeah, I don't think it's about to go backwards anymore. He is backing up. I mean, at what point does the bleeding stop?
There's a little bit of an opening in there behind Ryan in the 66, I believe it is. He might be able to get up there and try and cool down a little bit and see what he can do.
Now, is there anything he can do to help pull these tires off to bring him back, or is his only hope of getting a caution and throwing on 4 new shoes?
No, I think you can. He's not going to do anything that's going to reel anybody in that has passed him, unless they just do a lot worse than what he's done. The roster of guys that just passed him, that's probably not going to happen. But he can probably stop the bleeding and stop the fall through the field just by taking it a little bit easier.
Well, I don't know how much easier he's taking it, but he is trying to drive a little bit of a defensive line, moving up the racetrack there to try to block Tommy. Tommy's pretty fast, but he's pretty clean as well. He was very patient last night in that road course race, and once he made the pass, he drove away. So we'll see how patient he is here tonight, because I believe he is faster. I believe Jared's right there as well, Seth Rawls. All those guys are lined up. Let's just take a look here at Scott Crump, along with his best friend, Chad Frankenfield, racing each other back here. This is in about 25th and 26th, I believe.
24th and 25th.
Yeah, that's pretty deep in the field for Scott Crump, and Tate Lytle's even back there. We've documented Chad's been in an incident, so he's on his way forward, but it'll be interesting to see when Scott and Tate may decide to go, or if maybe this is all they've got. I feel like they're holding a little bit back at this point, though. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, they're both typically pretty good on the long runs, but, I mean, being that deep in the field, I just don't know about saving a whole lot right now. I mean, it might work out okay here if it stays green another 25 or 30, but it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind, we've got, we're 35 laps away from stage points, so at some point you got to decide to go, and they're still a very good ways away from that.
And I believe Gerald Campbell might have newer tires as well. Did I hear that correctly? Not sure.
He does. He went down pit road on lap 15, or about almost 15 seconds, so he should have fresher tires.
So there it was. There you heard it there from Carlos. He does have fresher tires. Trying to work his way to the front. I did see that we got a good picture there of the Jeff Green machine with his nose damage as well. So I'm sure Jeff is not thrilled about having to drive all race long there with the tore up nose. We see this change at 10th place.
Yeah, we saw the onboard shot there looking ahead at the 68, how tough it can be to come off these corners. Gerald had a really good run on him, and the 68 of Thomas Kuhn, and the back end just kind of stepped out on him, probably got back to the gas a bit too soon, and Gerald was able to pounce and finish that pass.
Oh, we have a caution. Oh, Crump. It's Scott Crump. Oh, wow.
Sounds like he's throwing Chad Frankenfield under the bus, so this will be interesting when we get to see it.
That might be net code.
Oh, Tate Lytle, heavy damage. I believe he hit him at the start-finish line is what I'm hearing. Michael Hosick hard in there late.
Excuse me, hit the wrong thingy.
I think we got to back it up a little further than this. I think Chad admitted to hitting him at the start-finish line. Let's see here. Let's see if there's some contact.
That looks like netcode, honestly.
I think there was contact right there, right when Scott started getting loose the first time, right before the start-finish line. But nonetheless, Tate Lytle, his night is probably done.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right there. There was just a little bit of contact.
Yeah, and the 24 came in there real late and real hard. Man, oh man, that is just... I don't understand running 23rd, 24th, 25th, whatever they were running. I mean, this isn't a place where you can really help somebody out down the straightaway. I don't know if I understand that, but while we're under this caution, I will throw it to you, Carlos, for some sponsor reads, a commercial break. I'm not sure if you have those, the commercials that we use, or if you got the sponsor reads.
Yeah. I like to come prepared. So I'm going to go ahead and spend some time as I go ahead and put the best laps from all these drivers up here on the board. By the way, Chad Frankenfield has stayed out. He hasn't gone down pit road quite yet. But how about we pay some bucks, or how about we get paid some bucks, excuse me, and go over the sponsors for today. Let's go ahead and start with none other than our Premier Series sponsors. That sounds like a good idea. I'm going to give a shout out to Blue Egg Marketing. Rev up your business with Blue Egg, your marketing pit crew. Turbocharge your lead generation with experienced drivers that can navigate the competitive track to connecting with your customers. With Blue Egg, you're always in the pole position, leading your brand towards victory lane. Don't spin your wheels, accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to win big. Also, massive thank you to Worldwide Technology Raceway. They are a motorsports racing facility in Madison, Illinois, just east of St. Louis, Missouri. It features a 1.25-mile oval that hosts the NASCAR Cup Series, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and the NTT IndyCar Series. They also have a 2-mile infield road course used by the Speed Tour, Trans Am, SCCA, and the Porsche Club of America. It also has a quarter-mile NHRA sanctioned drag strip that hosts the annual NHRA Camping World Drag Racing Series Midwest Nationals event. And finally, the Carplex, a state-of-the-art karting facility. Massive shout out to 4D Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 4D racing shoes are custom engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, and still provide all the comfort needed for those double and triple stints. Visit 4dracewear.com and check out the original racing gloves for your feet.
Believe we are coming down to 1 to go.
Yep, 1-2 green, fellas.
Chad is going to take the top on his old tires.
Yeah, it's an interesting strategy, Chad staying out. How do you think that's going to affect everyone else behind him?
I think Chad is going to be a rolling chicane. These tires are so abused right now that there's no way. And what lap do we have the stage on, Josh? Do you know? Or do you know, Carlos?
It's 75 will be the end of stage 1.
Okay, I thought maybe if it was at 50, he might be able to, maybe try to stay at 10th place or in the top 10 with another caution. But if it's 75, Chad will be lucky to be on the lead lap if they run green to 75.
By the way, you don't have to say this right now, but once we go green, do we have a tally assigned for that incident?
As the green comes out, Chad Frankenfield gets on the loud pedal. Out in front of John Cutlip, Tyler Fody.
Yeah, just to tidy up that caution, the guys involved, as I told them all, they're going to hate me for my assessment of it, but I called it a racing incident. Obviously, this isn't Daytona or Talladega, but if that wreck was to happen at either of those two tracks, that's always a racing incident. So they made slight contact at the start-finish line, and the wreck happened in turn 1. So Chad didn't go into a corner and just run him over or anything. So it's hard one to call.
Well, nonetheless, that friendship has been rekindled to the point where it was, I don't know what, last season, the season before there, Josh, when every time they got around each other, it was fireworks.
Oh, yeah.
Back to that.
It maybe span across a couple of seasons.
As we take a look here through the field, looking here at David Carpenter, Frank Bodie, and then our series sponsor there, Mark Rebilas, back there as well. Chad Frankenfield backing up through this field. Just absolutely in the way right now. It looks like he's driving one of those Rick Ware cars from the first season Rick Ware was in NASCAR.
Yeah, and like he was telling those guys, he put on a set of tires already, so he didn't want to pit and put on, waste another set so early. So he kind of just put them in a position to have to take care of him.
Yeah, and they've taken pretty good care of him. Nobody's running through him or anything. Definitely looks like something he's used to seeing on Sundays, though. It looks like a Nick Sirianni call, if you ask me, but let's see how that shakes out later.
See, they're taking care of him right now, but the 90's not back to him yet.
Well, we don't know how tore up the 90 is, but does it, does the damage not matter as much as the tires, I guess? That would be the question. The 90 is currently sitting in 32nd place. And where is Chad falling back? Chad's only back to 13th, it looks like, so. As we take a look here, Trey Holmes, our pole sitter, but he quickly fell back from the pole. And has been back here in this wad of cars for outside the top 10 for most of this night. He's outside the top 20, Trey Holmes back to 22nd.
Yeah, Trey Holmes is usually one of those guys that, when you talk about guys taking care of their equipment, he's one of the ones that I would have, right up at the top of the list. But maybe this isn't, a track that he's super fond of. He just ran a quick lap time. We'll have to see as this race goes on.
Yeah, and we talked about the dominance of Pro Edge there, 1 through 5 in qualifying, but here in the race, 1-2 right now, it's Lake Norman. Pro Edge is down to just Cutlet, Tooker, and Burrell there. We saw Matthew Weeks get involved in a wreck. We've seen Tate Lytle get involved in a wreck. Trey Holmes looks to not have quite the pace he had in qualifying. It's a tale of 2 races, really. That's what it looks like. Frank Fody back there running around Trey Holmes. Trey looks like he might still be backing up. Frank's going to pull to his outside here. You mentioned it earlier with stage points looming here in less than 20 laps now. At what point do you have to say, okay, I kind of can't save my tires anymore. It's time to go out here and try to get some stage points, Fody here, your Stanley, your Cutlip, you're probably sitting there pretty content to save your stuff. But where in the field do you say, okay, I'm throwing out the saving and it's time to go up here and try to get some stage points? Is it Jeff Green just outside the top 10? Is it somewhere else further back? I mean, what would be the strategy here if you're in that 10th to 20th range there, Josh?
Yeah, I think for me, if I knew that I was in a good point standing, or maybe not a good point standing, but just if I knew I needed the points, or you could just use them. We always see these things come down to 1 or 2 points. I would have probably been wanting to go as right off that restart and made this the run that I bank on maybe a quick caution coming out and just using all my stuff. I would probably want to get into the top 10 as quick as I can, because unlike every other week we see here in Elite, there's 10 guys that get points and not just 1. So I'd probably want to go on from the drop the green flag.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense if you take a look here at Kyle Hanshaw, William White, both guys who have, I believe Kyle was able to miss the wreck. We saw William spinning in the wreck, so 2 guys just trying to overcome a little bit of stuff, a little bit of different races going on for him right now. As Gerald Campbell gets down into turn 1 and nearly got into the back of Hunter Smith there in our side-by-side multi-cam. Gerald's trying to work the top. He's driving into the corner a little bit deeper. He's going to move all the way up there. Try to get that big run down the front stretch. Hunter's going to come off, slide right up in front of him.
Yeah, it looks like Gerald might be on the strategy that I just mentioned. He's just going for it right now. He's running up a little bit higher than everybody around him, so he'll appear to have the most pace for right now.
And how defensive do you get here if you're Hunter Smith? It looks like he's trying to really widen out his entry. And if Gerald decides to just kind of give a little bit of break back on entry one time, he could probably get into the back of Hunter Smith.
Yeah, I would probably want to be pretty defensive if I was Hunter. Like we just mentioned, points are important, and sitting right there just in the back half of the top 10, if he lets Gerald to his right rear and Gerald gets the run beside him, that's going to open the door for everybody behind those 2. So Hunter could go from 6th place stage points to all of a sudden outside the top 10. So I'd say he's going to be pretty defensive for the next 10 laps.
And like you mentioned, the next 10 laps, we are about 12 laps away from the end of the stage. Not sure if the end of the stage is going to come first or Scott Crump getting to the back of that 15 machine as they are working towards each other. See Scott Crump there in the top picture, working the bottom side of Kyle Hanshaw. And just out of this shot, saw the top of his car is Chad Frankenfield holding up that group of cars right there. So we are very excited to sit and wait and see if there's any fireworks that are going to take place when they get to each other, because at this point it's not a question of if, it's a question of when, and I don't think we're going to have to wait very long at all.
Yeah, one thing Scott's definitely not doing this run is holding back. You know, he started at the tail of the field and he's up there about mid-pack now, so like you see, we see Chad up there in the red car. He's closing in on him.
We saw Chad get circled there in the middle of the corner, just to let you know where he's at. You know, Scott sees that red car. I mean, what's Scott thinking right here, Josh, as you're seeing that guy closing in, getting closer? What's going through his mind?
I think we probably know he's hot under the collar. We've mentioned these two have had a rocky past racing each other.
Right.
They've been good recently, but I gotta think he's looking for the 15.
Yeah, I can't say I would be doing anything different. You know, like it's, you know, I can't sit here and say that he shouldn't do it or that this is the way to go about it. That would be quite controversial for me to say something like that. So I'll just say what I think and what my opinion is. And yeah, I feel like if you're wronged on the racetrack, it's an eye for an eye out here. So make sure that the guy that you feel has wronged you, make sure you do the same to him. So we'll see what happens when it gets here. All this build up, nothing will probably happen. Scott's got a lot to lose here as far as his cup effort and whatnot. So
yeah, and like we saw, you never want to get tagged like in a tri-oval, you know, at any place. If I was in Scott's position inside the race car in the moment, I would have probably been very upset too. But you know, for our vantage point up here, you know, obviously we know he's going to be upset, but our vantage point, it wasn't as egregious, I think, as everybody on the track might think.
I'm going to tell you what, there's one car between them right now. They are almost, here we go.
Yeah, he's up there on the high line. He might be looking for him. He's got a run at him here in turn 1.
Doesn't look like he's going to take a shot at it. I'm a little disappointed. I wanted to see him drive down in there. I wanted to see a little bit of fireworks, a little bit of chaos.
Maybe Scott's got his head screwed on just a little bit right now and doesn't want to get other drivers involved.
Yeah, you see him turn down the hill, turns away from the 15. Look, and I speak for everybody watching right now. I'm super disappointed. Wanted to see some stuff there. Wanted to see the excitement, you know?
And we've still got 175 laps to go, so that rivalry's not done yet. They'll be back around each other before the end of this race.
But only 3 laps left until the end of the stage.
That is true, and Ethan Stanley's 3 car lengths back. John Cutlip 4 car lengths back. They're trying to battle for second, which is what Tyler wants to see.
Yeah, and Chris, you mentioned a little bit earlier, Ethan Stanley, always kind of known for using the good out of his equipment early in runs and falling off, but you mentioned he's gotten better recently. We see him, he might be better than his teammate Tyler Fode right now.
Yeah, and I got to think right now, Ethan, if he thought he could win this thing, he would probably seem almost out to the wall. So
yeah,
Ethan trying to get up there.
Yeah, that run off of 2 tells me he thinks he can win the stage if he's letting it hang out.
That also lost him some time. We'll see what happens. White flag on the stage. Stage points will be awarded the next lap. He drives down in there. Fode moves up a little bit there just to protect. Stanley trying to get a big run. What's he going to do down here, or where are they going to go down here in 3 and 4? Fode's going to go to the middle. That's going to try to protect against any move that Stanley can make. They come off of turn number 4. Fode Stanley, Cutlet are the stage. Burrell, Tooker, Campbell, Tommy Ryan, Jared Rexing, Seth Rawls, Hunter Smith.
Yeah, and one thing that's unique about Elite Racing League, when we get our stages, we don't have our full distance races very often, but we don't throw cautions, so it keeps the flow of the race going, and that's probably a good thing, because we started out with 3 or 4 quick cautions, and these guys seem to be in a pretty good groove right now.
Yeah, and we talked about Josh Robin earlier. I believe he lagged out of the session and did not return. So any Josh Robin fans out here that might be wondering what happened to him. It's unfortunate news for you.
Yeah, and we took a look at Hunter Smith there 15 laps before the stage end or so, and he was sitting 6th, and we were wondering if he was going to be able to hold on to it, and he held on for 1 point there at the end of the stage. That 1 point could be important.
Yeah, 1 point could make all the difference in making the playoffs and not. Ethan Burrell trying to move back up to these guys. He's left the bottom side. David Tooker still wrapping around the bottom. Gerald Campbell trying to string together a couple good runs. Gerald is trying to find that vintage Gerald Campbell back in a few seasons ago, maybe even a year or 2 ago at this point. Gerald was a guy that any kind of short track, you had to be ready for Gerald to go out there and try to win the thing. He was really fast, really competitive, and he's gotten away from that just a little bit, and we're seeing him find it back here, slowly creeping back towards top 10s, top 15s most every week. And then yesterday had that great run in the road course at Sonoma, and now tonight here he sits running in position number 6.
Yeah, I think Gerald is one of those guys that for the most part, the last few seasons, me personally, I feel like he likes to come out here and just have more fun than anything, and I think that serves you well, racing and not letting it get to you too much. But he may be getting just a little bit more of a serious side back to him, and that helps him run a little bit better than just kind of winging it.
Yeah, and he's busy building the family too. He's got one of those family things that people talk about. So
yeah, he's that eventually his kid is going to be on iRacing, and he's probably going to beat Dad one day. So he's got to get his practice in now to keep his speed up.
This is very true. Oh, Gerald into the wall there just a little bit. We got a pitter here. Oh, it's Matthew Weeks, I believe, trying to. Saw him get a lot of damage in that wreck. He might just be calling it a night here. Frustrating all around there for the 11 machine.
As we see Trey Holmes back here in the 88, he's sitting in the 26th position. We were talking about him a little bit ago, wondering if he was ever going to move forward, and it hasn't really happened yet.
Yeah, I mean, what is going on here? With Pro Edge having set up to look like it was going to be a dominating night to kind of establish themselves, because they started the season off really hot, and then they some guys have ran really well, but they've kind of not been as hot as a unit. They come out here and sweep the top 5 spots, and the race starts, and they're just down to 2 or 3, and you see Tate there backing up has gotten pretty sideways off the shoot too.
Yeah, so we've got 3 of them up there in the top 5. They're always going to be around. They'll be a threat to probably even win this race. There's always going to be at least one of them in contention for a win. We know Tate was back there uncharacteristically running mid-pack and got some damage in that last caution. So I'm not too worried about them. They'll get in the swing of it and start winning races and running all in the top 5 like they are very soon.
Yeah, and you see Tate just now getting to the back of Chad Frankenfield. Chad's holding on these older tires decent. I mean, it's nothing to write home about. Oh, Tate, the big wrecking there on the back.
Uh-oh.
Scott Crump again.
Sounds like Michael Goodman might have been
no caution.
One of the vehicles involved with him.
Yeah, no caution, which typically if somebody wrecks there on the backstretch, we're going to get caution. See Scott getting sideways. Scott got a little loose. Goody wasn't all the way up by the wall. Scott's bad night goes from bad to worse there. There you see it. Scott's a little bit loose. Ooh, Goody gets a little bit loose there as well.
I hate to say it, that
I think
one
Scott
might
might
be
have been just a little bit of getting the throttle down sideways, whereas it looks like Goody got a little bit out of shape sideways.
Yeah, I think we saw that exact incident a couple of times in the Cup race at Bristol, where the guy comes off a 2 and expects the car on the outside to maybe be running a little bit higher. It looks like Scott had a very aggressive corner exit and came up almost like somebody wasn't there. But I think we mentioned Goodman was getting a little bit loose, but that'll be a no call on anything. 2 drivers just getting together. That's no fault on either end of that incident there under green.
Yeah, nonetheless, I'm sure Scott's just having a party over there about it, though. I'm sure he's thrilled. We'll take a look here at this battle for the lead. We got Fody and Tyler Fody, for those of you wondering, not Frank Fody. Ethan Stanley, John Cutlip have kind of built up a gap over Ethan Burrell, David Tooker, and they have quite the gap to Gerald and Tommy, Rexing and Rawls and Smith. No change in the top 10 at all, really, right now. Everybody just kind of running. We are seeing the groove widen out there. You're seeing that shot. Stanley's moved up to the middle, but the 2 cars well back in that shot. Ethan Burrell, David Tooker both are running pretty high there in 3 and 4.
Yeah, we see Tyler Fody's still very consistent around the bottom. John Cutlip seems like he's pretty consistent around the bottom. But I think we're to the point in the run where you've saved what you're going to save, purposely running a certain line to where at this point now you can go up to the top or you can stay on the bottom and just do whatever you need to do to go forward. You can do it on both lanes, top, middle, bottom.
So what would you want to do if you were out here and say the car was a little bit tight or a little bit loose? Like, if you're a little bit looser, you're going to try to run the bottom, a little bit tighter, you're going to try to run the top, or how's that going to work?
I think if I was a little bit looser, I'd probably want to try and run the top, because this car is usually notoriously loose from the middle down, and it seems like it's tighter up on the top of the track. So I think if you're tight, you might want to run the bottom. If you're loose, you probably want to run the top. Or just not do like that typical diamond line that you might see to try and gain time, because it can be treacherous coming off these corners on the bottom if you're loose.
And as you see here, the battle is on for second between Ethan Stanley, John Cutlip, and I think John's probably a little bit better. Ethan moving up the racetrack. This does have progressive banking, so the higher you run, the more banking you've got. And so Ethan is using a little bit more banking, even though his car's not driving quite as good, and it's giving him great runs off the corner. So John's just having to make this pass a foot at a time.
Yeah, John, I think he's eventually going to make this pass. Like you said, I think he's better than the 91. It's just going to be, he's just got to be patient with it, make sure it doesn't slide his right rear, and maybe get up into him, maybe let Stanley slide his. That's the one thing that's frustrating about Iowa. Like, it's really fun to race, but it's super frustrating when you know you're faster than a guy, but you can't pass him on the bottom.
Yeah, I saw Ethan get real sideways off of 4 last time, but he did not cost him speed. He actually got off the corner carrying some good momentum and actually pulled back well in front of Cutlip. One thing that's about to happen here is green flag stops are about to start, if they haven't already. Chad Frankenfield's going to have to be on pit road pretty soon. He was one of those guys that stayed, well, the only guy that stayed out was Chad Frankenfield, so at some point here in the next 10 or 12 laps, he is going to have to be on pit road.
Yeah, if you look at what John's doing, it's kind of hard to tell with the wide shot, but he's taken a pretty easy entry, and he's getting a really good run on Ethan through the middle of the corner and off, but Ethan's just able to get a really good run off the corner from that higher lane. And as we say that, he's lost
Jeff
some
Green's
momentum.
in the grass. The 68's real slow here down into turn number 1. Oh, and they're going to make contact behind him. We're going to stay green. Not sure what the 68 was doing there after he got it gathered up and he started running like pace speed. No caution on the racetrack. I don't have any idea what happened.
I'll see if I can find it.
And it sounds like the 68 thought there was a caution. But no caution. That was wild. As we take a look here, this is right where the wreck happened.
All right, take a look, guys. I'm going to go through ITV multicam. Look at the top screen. It's going to be the replay right there.
Well, there you heard it from Carlos, the replay here. Jeff Green trying to get to the top, the 68. Maybe Jeff came down just a little bit. 68 came up a little bit. Very surprised there was no caution there. Jeff goes down through the grass, and then the 68 blends back, but the 68 stays slow, like he thinks the caution's out. And that 68 runs just pace speed through 1 and nearly gets ran over. Take a look here at Jeff Green.
Yeah, that was just kind of that little bit of typical Iowa exit. If you get off maybe just a little bit too quick on the throttle, it just started to come around on Jeff, and luckily the 68 car was there to catch him.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm very surprised there wasn't a caution for that, seeing how sideways that 68 car was.
Now, I have a question for the race crew. We saw what happened. Had, no caution came out, but had the 68 slowing down through 1 and 2 ended up bringing out the caution like it almost did, would the tally have gone to the 68 or would the tally have gone to the 2 for the initial contact?
Yeah, that would have been hard to say. I know that there was.
Glad it didn't happen right now. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's always hard to assess a blame when the caution comes out well after the initial wreck. If they would have piled into the 68, we would have probably just called it a racing incident, because it's hard to come around a short track and see a guy running almost pace speed. But yeah, it's hard to say.
As you see them lapping Joe Francis down there, on our side by side on the bottom. Ethan Stanley still holding over the second position from John Cutler. Burrell and Tooker still back there. Campbell, Tommy Ryan. Everybody knows you're going to have to stop twice. You can't make it you cannot make it to the end from here. Even if you don't pit for 30 laps, you're not going to make it to the end. At what point, Josh, are you thinking it's time to come down pit road? Are you going to try to short pit this thing? We know Chad's got to pit here in the next handful of laps. I don't know how much further he can go, but it can't be far.
Yeah, well, we've got one spinning off of 2. Gilberto Gomera. He's sitting down on the bottom, no caution.
Took a toe.
Well, there's Gilberto.
The answer for you, Chris, was about to be you pit under caution.
Oh, man.
Once again, I cannot believe that's not a caution right there where he's sitting. I believe Josh is tired of yellows. He's disabled them for the rest of the session. I think that's what happened. Race control said we're not getting any more tonight, boys. Hard hit there to the inside wall.
I think it's safe to say that that car definitely got a meatball flag, as we are still side by side for second place.
Yeah, that car's got a motor problem now too. It doesn't run. That's the type of car you see there on the Facebook Marketplace, and they're like, hey, it's in good shape other than, a little bit of nose damage and motor don't run. It's a good little project car. As once again, we're going to hear this battle for second. Same thing we saw earlier. Cutlet able to get to the inside, but he cannot make the pass, cannot slide up the racetrack. As you see Stanley really sliding off the corner.
Chris, to try to answer your question, I think if I was one of the cars in the top, 5, back to maybe Toker that
Fody gets hit by a lap car. I don't know who the lap car is, but he just bodied Tyler Fody off of turn 4.
That's a 74.
Yeah, the 74.
Woods. We see David Woods in the 74.
I believe so. Yeah, David Woods. Yeah, he just went a second lap down. I'm gonna pull up a replay here any second now. Just keep going. Just give me a little bit of time.
As you see Tyler Fody working over lap trap. The 74 up in the wall. He's really struggling out here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Chris, what I was gonna say, if I'm one of the leaders, I'm probably gonna want to try and be one of the last people to pit, because this looks like we're gonna run green for a long time. So I want the best tires later in the race.
Excuse me, Thunder says my iRacing has crashed, so we're gonna be going on here with secondary feed until I get that resolved.
As we work through some technical difficulties here, but I believe you still have a picture looking here at the 74 machine and his struggles out here. And Ethan Burrell had to have seen what just happened, so probably not thinking you want to pass that guy on the top, are you, Josh?
Yeah, probably not.
Well, certain things you see, and it's like, you know what, I'm going to take my time and make sure I get around that guy on the bottom. I don't want to be to his right. As we take a look here at Trey Holmes trying to work underneath Jeff Green. Can't quite get it done. This lane has went to the top, and like you mentioned at the start of the broadcast, Josh, on old tires, it's really hard to make a pass on the bottom, and that's what we're seeing here. Even the guys that are driving better, they just cannot complete the pass, and Chad Frankenfield is going to be coming to pit road this very lap. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, you just have to be better than the cars around you to be able to complete the pass on the bottom pretty quickly. If not, it's gonna take you several laps, like we tried to see John do earlier on Ethan.
And he still hasn't made that pass, by the way. He's still sitting there as Chad Frankenfield comes down pit road. So we'll have to see how quick some other guys decide to pit. Like I said, it's not a terrible spot to be pitting in as long as you get through the whole cycle. And you can split the race up right here into 2, I don't know, what, 70 lap runs or so? 65 lap runs, something like that. Right in that neighborhood. Let's take a look here at Jeff Green. It looks like Jeff Green might be doing some math in there. Trying to figure out when he needs to pit.
Part of the strategy too, we're only looking to get to 150 for the next stage, so that's coming up in just over 30 laps. So you get on maybe pit road just a little bit sooner than a guy around you, get an advantage on him, and maybe be able to hold some track position before the stage comes out, maybe gain a point or two.
Yeah, so what would Chad need to win the stage? These guys to not pit until like lap, probably what, 130? They wait till 130. Chad might have a shot to win the stage.
Maybe. I'm not sure how close Chad was when this all started. He's running a lot faster than them though.
I believe he was about 3/4 of a lap down or so. I mean, he was running in there behind Trey Holmes. Like, he was behind that group, maybe back around Michael Goodman, so, yeah, about 3/4 of a lap down or so. As we take a look here at these battles back here, everybody on old tires, everybody sliding around. All these guys are thinking the same thing, Josh. They're thinking, I'd like to get some new tires.
Yeah, we saw Chad just storm past Tyler Fody, our leader. Chad's running about 1.2 seconds faster, so every lap that he's out on the track and anybody that was around him hasn't pitted yet, he's gaining a lot of track position on.
Yeah, and Chad just now drove himself back to 1 lap down. He was 2 now. So a caution at this point would still, a caution that would be detrimental to Chad's race. As we see right now, one car go up and hit the wall as David Carpenter comes off of pit road as well. All these guys all strung out all over the racetrack. Nobody's driving great right now. 74 working the bottom with cars working around his high side. Here comes Hunter Smith back there. We've talked about him a little bit tonight a few different times, and he is still hanging on right there at the back part. Jonathan Cutlip, Ethan Stanley are on pit road.
Yeah, so they're going to be looking to get a jump on Tyler Fode. I would expect Fode to probably be on pit road very soon now too, with two of his closest competitors having pitted.
Yep. And there you see Stanley really working through traffic right now. Fode's still out there, along with Burrell, Tooker, Tommy Ryan, Jared Rexy. Cutlip slicing through there as well. And just look at the way Stanley and Cutlip are able to cut through this field. It's absolutely incredible. They just passed Tate Idle, and they are driving away. David Carpenter coming up there. He has been on and off the pit road in this cycle as well. So do you think those guys pitting right now, that's a play for stage points on the other side of pit stops?
I think so. It'll probably get them a positive gain for stage points, but if we're running green at any point, 20, 30 laps after the end of the stage at 150, Tyler Fode will be back around them by that point.
But I will say this, like we've talked about, it is not going to be full fuel runs here. Like the way this is breaking up right now, these guys can run about 95 laps on a tank of fuel, and they're only about 10 or 15, maybe 20 laps short. So it's not like you're going to have to go a full fuel run. You can really break this up into a 50-lap run and a 50-lap run, or however the math you want it to work out. So it will be interesting to see how this plays out. Now, of course, on the flip side, if you break it up like that, like these guys just put it here, and let's say they come again at 60 or 65 to go, instead of running it towards the end of that fuel run, or they could even come in a little sooner, 70, 75 laps to go, you're going to be a long time laps down. But if this race gets one of those green flag fields, you get all the way through a cycle of stops, you start feeling confident and get through another cycle. So we'll just see how the race breaks down. Chad Rakenfield moving through this field right now, as you see. He's been on and off of pit road, but he was on pit road quite a long time ago. We're still waiting for our leaders to come into the pits as well.
Yeah, I have a quick update for you guys. I don't know what's going on with iRacing as a whole. So whenever it does load up, it causes my whole computer to freeze, and iRacing is at like 2 FPS per second. For the time being, until we get a caution, it's gonna stay like this with the secondary feed on, limited graphics, and a little bit harder for me to select drivers, but I'm going to try to make it work as best as you guys can. The moment a caution comes out, we're going to go ahead and temporarily cut the feed as I quickly restart my computer. And if all goes well, we should be back before green flag comes out again.
As you see here, Trey Holmes working his way through that 74, slow 74. You got some guys, Gerald Campbell coming off the pit road, Seth Rawls. Caution is out, and boom. That has killed the strategy of Tyler Fode and Ethan Burrell, but we are going to try to fix some technical issues over here, and we will see you hopefully in time for the green flag on the other side of this.
Yeah.
The caution was for Ethan Stanley getting into the back of Ethan Burrell. Spun Ethan Burrell into David Tooker. Neither car sustained major damage, so both should be all right, and the people it hurt the most are right there on your screen. It hurt Ethan Stanley and John Cutlip, as they had already pitted, were trapped a lap down, had not gotten back on the lead lap yet, so really hurt their strategy, Josh. It's not a big brain move there to cause the caution that you don't need under any circumstance.
Yeah, that's one that I think we both see that the same way. I know that Ethan Burrell is going to see it the same way. Um, Ethan Burrell was out there, just like Tyler Fody, just waiting to pit, and they're giving those guys the entire outside of the racetrack, and Ethan Stanley comes up behind him in a battle with some other guys with fresh tires, and just runs in there behind him and ran into him rather than just taking the outside that was there. So he ran Ethan over, caused the wreck. Tally goes to the 91. Like you had mentioned, the smart move would have been just to take that outside lane and not cause a caution in the middle of a pit cycle like that.
Yes, but like I said, especially when you're the one that's pitted, like it'd be one thing if you got into him by accident, but when you're the guy that has, Ethan Stanley probably just lost his shot to win along with Cutlip.
Yeah.
That hurt Chad Frankenfield. Jared Campbell had just come up with Seth Ross. That really hurt a lot of guys.
Yeah, it's about a 21 position negative on Ethan Stanley causing that caution.
But as we get ready to go green, Tyler Fody will take off. They are about 15 to 18 laps outside of a fuel window. We'll have to see how that shakes out. Fody gets clear. They're 3 wide for second. Rexing, Ryan. Oh, they get together. Rexing's going to go for a spin. No caution yet.
And they're about 11 or 12 laps away from the next stage, where the next points are going to get handed out. As we see some more contact going on back there around Tate Lytle and Frank Fody.
And there you see Jared Rexing. And there you see Tate Lytle. Oh, Jay's getting loose, watching up the track. Caution is out. Not sure what it's for. It is not for what we've got on the screen. Oh, it was for what we have on the screen. Jay's around there off of turn 2. Not sure what happened there to bring out the caution, but the racing was getting hot and heavy. As we take a look here at the replay. Oh, the 06 gets up, tags the 9. 9 doesn't get any significant damage. That's a big break for the guys who took the waiver round if they choose to get tires, but I don't think you're going to want to bolt them on for another 10 laps. I think you want to wait until you get close to that window.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back.
And all our technical difficulties have been worked through. Carlos over there, while we were just doing the broadcast, has worked through all of his channels and worked his magic to get everything back to where it was.
Yes, indeed. Now, I don't have... unfortunately, the caution came out just before my primary feed came back on, so I do not have a replay from the primary feed, but I'm going to try to pull up that number 6, or excuse me, was it the 9? I think it was the 9. Having the issue
we do have bidders. I did
do?
not think they would pit, but it's Chad, it's Ethan Stanley, it's the waiver run guys going to go ahead and get some tires. I don't see any kind of scenario where you can connect this to the end.
All right, you guys want to take a look at a replay?
Yeah, we can take a look at that replay if you got it.
All right, I sure do. All right, here it is in kind of slow motion.
Yeah, just 2 wide, maybe 3 wide, almost 4 wide off a restart. And the 9 gets wrecked.
Well, thankfully, that could have been much worse for the 9. It looks like maybe a little ding in the back or the quarter panel, but the car still looks good to go.
Yeah, he got away there. He's a little mad probably to get hit in the left rear, just get spun out. But to get spun out in the middle of the field, off a turn 2 where you could hit something or somebody could come through and hit you and all you need is 4 new tires. It's a lucky day there. Speaking of lucky days, there's Tyler Fody, and we saw him just dodge that first wreck, and now he's taking control of this race.
Yeah, I went ahead and just called that as a racing incident between the 9 and the 06. The 06 might have been on entry a little bit hot, but the 9 was also coming down the track a little bit, so they kind of converged into the same spot, so I didn't put that on anyone.
And there you see a tally for Ethan Stanley from the caution, a couple cautions ago. You see the packed grandstands here on the front stretch of Iowa Speedway. All these fans really enjoying the NASCAR Mark Rebilas Grand National Series coming out here to Iowa Speedway.
Yeah, and while we've got a second under caution, Tommy Ryan sitting there P3 in the 66. Me and Nick did the ARCA race up in the booth last week, and Tommy was one of the guys that we got to talk to afterwards, and he was just talking how he's been around here for about a season or so now, and we always see him with speed, and he said he's just still trying to kind of just gain the respect of the regulars around here. And I let him know that I feel like he's definitely done it, and in a run like we're seeing now, he's been up there in the mix with the guys he wants to run clean around all night. So Tommy Ryan's given that 66 a really good run tonight.
Yeah, and Tommy's, like I mentioned last night in the truck race, he was a guy that ran around me a lot in that first half of that truck race. Was super patient behind me. He was way better than I was. I didn't know how much better he was than I was until he passed me and drove off and beat me by 10 seconds there in the second half of the race. But super patient, didn't take any long, big dives, get into me, spin me out. Definitely could have. And once I made a little bit of a mistake, he went around me and no contact. So definitely a guy who knows how to race and races the right way, and very patient and very smart behind the wheels. We'll see how he does here. So we're about a half of that from the restart.
Yeah, we haven't seen anybody go after Tyler Fode yet, but we've got Ethan Burrell that's going to be even with him on the front row here on this restart. So do you think Ethan has anything for Tyler here as we get going on this restart?
Well, I think you said there's stage points in, 6 laps? I think if you got something to go get some stage points with, let's see it right here, I think, right?
I believe so. I think they all know it.
Green is out. Fode gets a good start. A great start there, actually.
Yeah, it looks like he might have caught Ethan sleeping a little bit.
Yeah, terrible start there for Stanley. Or, excuse me, for Burrell. Ethan might send me a message after that and say, hey, how you calling me Ethan Stanley? He's the guy that ran me over. He's backing up here, trying to fight back. See these guys back here in the midfield. Going to lose out on stage points with John Cutlip. Oh, Dustin Dewar gets down into the side of Tate just a little bit. Cutlip's moved down, trying to make it 3 wide. Taking a look down here. The 30 gets up there into the side of the 41. There's Chad Frankenfield trying to come through. It is a wad and a half back here in the middle of this field.
Yeah,
Gerald and Chad on fresh tires, and they're trying to work the high lane and the very low lane. They're going to get together. Oh, and Stanley's going to get a little piece of that.
How they didn't wreck there. I was about to say we were seeing 2 different races. We were seeing a really, really tame race on the bottom, and we were seeing Talladega on the top.
That's just newer tires too. Those guys have just a couple lap newer tires, and they're blowing the doors off of those guys back there. And it was, I didn't think one run on the very top and one run on the very bottom when they were 2 wide in front of them, so they were making it 4 wide. Did not think that would work. And I'm gonna tell you what, they got through that about as good as they could have wanted.
Yeah, that was a nice piece of driving by Zach Evans. If we were if we had the right sponsors behind us, that would have probably been the Allstate Good Hands race, the Warder race.
Well, we got the Geico restart zone out here. So what about the Geico Good Hands?
The last year.
See, here we come. We're going to get white flag on the stage this time. Tyler Fode sitting out there in front of Tommy Ryan. Tooker taking a little look. As Tooker's also trying to take second, and Burrell is trying to take third from Tooker, all at the same time.
See, Tommy's got to run. We'll see if he's going to try and be aggressive down here in 3.
Fode goes to the bottom.
Yeah, see Ryan go to the top. He's going to try and get a run off the top. He's got it, but it's just he ran out ran out of track.
And the stage winner is going to be Tyler Fody, Tommy Ryan, David Tooker, Ethan Burrell, Gavin Higgins, Hunter Smith, Wadsworth, Green, Abbott, and I'm not sure who was 10th because that has switched a couple times. So I am not going to give that to Scarborough because I'm not sure if he was there at the line.
Yeah, Tommy had a really good run. He was at the quarter panel with Tyler Fody going into turn 1, but I think he lost the nose down there in the corner.
I'm going to tell you what, Gerald Campbell's probably pretty frustrated right now. He has got trapped here. And they're 3 wide, and I don't think Dusty knows it. I don't think Dusty got that 3 wide call. Wow. Gerald is trying to get out of this, and he can't get out of here. Taking a look back through the field, there they are, 3 wide once again. That's Mark Rebilas, Frank Fody, and Kyle Hanshaw 3 wide down into turn 1. And Mark's backing out there.
And remember, Kyle Hanshaw is a lap down.
Oh, Kyle's a lap down, as you heard there from Carlos. I did not know that. So he's trying to race for the lucky dog there. He's trying to get up there to Joe Francis.
See on the bottom of the screen, Tommy Ryan still stalking Tyler Fody, hanging right there with him. Those two running a little bit the lower lane, and we saw on the back of the screen, David Tooker was right up on the wall exiting turn 4.
Yeah, and they're just trying to, we saw Tyler do this the first run. He let them sit right off his back bumper, and then he kind of drove away late. And as you see in our top box here, Kyle trying to get there to Joe, and we got the 9 there. We saw him spinning 41 of Frank Fody. Tyler must not be giving Frank all his secrets. Frank's having a trying night back here. And then right behind them, we got Mark. Mark does an awful lot for the Elite Racing Series and Chad and everybody here at Elite. So, of course, he is the sponsor of the series. Takes a lot of pictures. He's a photographer. You'll see him chasing storms at sporting events, the Daytona 500, the Indy 500, the World Series, Super Bowl. He's done it all. And if you get a chance to talk to the guy, he's a great guy to have a conversation with.
And back to Frank, I think Tyler tries to give him a lot, but I think Frank's still, he's still in like kind of his just like rookie season, if you will, on iRacing. He's still, I think, seeing a lot of these tracks for the first, maybe the first and probably minimum second time a lot of times. So he's definitely still trying to figure out how to run a lot of these places.
And as you saw there in our side-by-side, the 52 was on pit road. He was running in the 10th position and chose to pit here. Not sure what the strategy is there. Oh, and he has disconnected now as well.
Yeah, Tyler just struggled a little bit off of 2. Tommy is there. Let's see if he decides to make a run at him right on this bumper going into 1.
How much of a fight do you think Tyler's going to put up here?
I think Tyler likes to lead laps, but he's also smart behind the wheel, and if he thinks that guy's running a little bit too hard, he's just gonna let him do his thing and then pass him later.
Yeah, right now they are out there in front of David Tooker. Then you got Gavin Higgins, and you got Ethan Burrell. I almost wonder if Ethan's rear damage is hurting him just a little bit. Not a lot, but he's running just a little bit off the pace he was running earlier. Or maybe he's saving a little bit harder this run. That's hard telling. Taking a look here at these picture-in-picture. You saw Scott Crump get by Frank Fody. Goodman trying to take a look at Frank Fody now as well. Taking a look there at Ethan Stanley. Ethan Stanley's night got flipped upside down there when he pitted and came out and ran into the back of a lead lap car and brought out the caution that he didn't need. Taking a look here off the rear of Tyler Fody. Looking at Tommy Ryan, there you see the lap times. Tommy beat him 3 laps in a row, and now Tyler has returned the volley and beat him 3 laps in a row. Heading down into turn 3, 2 different lanes. Tommy's going all the way up the racetrack. Tyler all the way around the bottom. They come off of turn 4. Tommy's got a big run there from that top side. He's going to go down here and run the top once again. Tyler's going to widen out his entry, run a little bit up to get that diamond. They come off of turn number 2. I think Tommy got a little bit too high there out of 2. Lost some time.
Yeah, we've hit on it a few times, but this is the fun thing about Iowa. There's not one place you have to run like a lot of other places on this sim. You can run anywhere, and we're seeing it with those top 3.
Yeah, and one thing we're seeing here, Josh, and I'm going to let you elaborate a little bit, is they run really, really high in 3 and 4, but if they get a little bit too high in 1 and 2, they lose all their momentum. The car takes a shove or it gets loose. And some people at home might think that it's the same at both ends. You know, it's an oval, straight up oval, you know, it's the same thing at both ends. But what is different about running higher up the racetrack in 1 and 2 versus 3 and 4?
Well, around 3 and 4, you've got a wider radius, so you're able to, just like hold the wheel open a little bit more. 1 and 2 is a little bit tighter, but also if you get too high in 1 and 2, it's really bumpy, and you're gonna know it if you get too high, because you're probably just gonna go straight. So a lot of guys you'll see trying to run no further than the middle in turn 1 and 2, because if you're anywhere above the second hash marks in 1 and 2, you're doing it wrong.
And now that bump that you talked about, you said it's a little bit bumpy down there. That one bump down there, man, it's like driving through a ditch with the drainage in it. It's awful. Like,
yeah, there's
it'll knock the glue out of your hands.
Yeah, there's a bump on the bottom that you'll try to avoid, but that's manageable. You know, if you get up into the 3rd lane in 1 and 2, you're probably going backwards.
But both guys now moving up the track. Tyler moved up there to protect just a little bit, maybe, as we see Ethan Burrell has taken 4th behind these guys. Tate Lytle trying to show his long run pace after he got some damage early. Cracking the top 7.
Yeah, we were wondering if Tate was ever going to go, and he must have gotten all that damage fixed, because he's been hanging out around 25th all night, and he's going to be battling for the top 5 right here.
Yeah, and another car, we saw in some wreck earlier is Jeff Green. All of a sudden, these guys who wrecked early in the night, they've gotten their cars fixed. They've taken all race really to get it back going, and here we are inside the final 100 laps, and they're finally able to drive back through this stuff just a little bit.
Yeah, and Chris, earlier you were wondering what was up with Pro Edge. We've got Tooker in 3rd, Burrell in 4th, and we've just mentioned Lytle's in there getting up into 6th now, and Jeff Green's got himself back into the top 10 there in 9th. So they're all coming to the front.
That's right. Jeff Green is now with Pro Edge. I forgot. And here's Chad, like you mentioned, they're up to 10th. Now Chad is on a little bit newer tires, as well as Cutlet. They pitted under that last caution after they took the wave. Ethan Stanley did as well, but Ethan Stanley has really struggled coming through traffic here compared to those two.
Here we see Cutlip chasing William White there in the 43, just ahead of Trey Holmes. We've kind of wondered when Trey Holmes was going to get going, so maybe he's starting to get up to go forward now. He's sitting there in 13th, 14th place. 14th place for Trey.
You know what Trey Holmes did? It's an off night for him. They can't find the speed. They probably gave him a rope, and he's got some kind of clear rope that we can't see, and he just latched onto the back of his 5 car and just let him pull.
It'd probably be a good idea. John Cullif's been fast all night.
You see Seth back there as well. Seth got hurt by that caution coming out when it did, so. They will need more cautions, though, to have a shot to run with these top 3. I don't believe anybody's going to make it to the end on fuel. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and say nobody's making it to the end on fuel. They all need to pit. They were about 15 laps outside of the fuel window. That last caution when these guys pit. So now you have to decide what, it might be, creeping into some of these guys' minds. Should I pit now? Should I try to really get on the front side of this run? I mean, is there anybody, which if you were in any car out here, what would it take for you to pit like right here at like 180, Josh? Where would you have to be running to be pitting this early?
See, if I was Tommy Ryan, I would want to be the leader, but I've done it before in a championship race, pitted just before Tyler Fode, and it was the wrong call. So I think you'd want to be probably somewhere back into the top 10 or outside the top 10 if you're gonna try and short pit.
Well, let me put you in Jeff Green or Chad Frankfield's car. Would you pit here at lap 180? Let's say 5 laps from now.
Yeah, if we're thinking, the window's open, maybe to make it all the way to the end, just without any more cautions or whatever, and you're willing to gamble, I'd say it'd be good short term for the track position gain, and you would probably hope a caution would come out once it all cycles through before you start going backwards again. But I think it'd be something that would definitely be viable.
I mean, and then another thing is, how long do these other guys wait to pit? I mean, if you pit, let's say Jeff Green pits at lap 180. Well, some other guys got burned by pitting, and then the caution came out. So if that's in the back of your mind, I mean, who's to say these guys don't stretch it to 230 as far as they can go? Then you're probably not running Jeff Green back down. If Jeff Green were to pit right now, 5 seconds back, and you don't pit for 40 more laps, you're not going to run him back down.
Yeah, I think we went back to green somewhere around lap 140 or so. I think a good strategy, maybe, I don't know if you would agree, maybe just running, splitting the run in half to the end from the restart, maybe just running 50 or 60 laps or so, and then kind of running even laps on either side of the pit strategy.
Yeah, now see, I'm more of a fly by the seat of your pants guy. Like, a lot of guys would have decided that and said, this is when I'm going to pit. I'm more of it's based on how I'm running, where I'm running, what I'm doing at like this point of the run. Am I backing up already? If I'm backing up already, well, let's swing for the fences this pit. If I'm holding steady or if I'm moving forward, I'm content to stay. I'm very much I'll make the decision when I get there, not before, because you don't know how hard you're going to be on the tires that particular run, what you're going to need that particular run. Maybe you got a bad restart that last time and you haven't been able to claw back up through there, and this is your shot to take. So
yeah, so maybe if you were Chad Frankenfield, we see William White closing in on him, John Cutlip, and Trey Holmes, 3 cars closing in.
And he just hit the wall. Chad just hit the wall off of 2, so he's starting to struggle a little bit.
Yeah, so within the next 10 laps or so, he could be 13th or 14th, so he may be one of the first people we see coming to pit road.
And I very much believe in, I didn't run this race. Like, I'm, Josh, my philosophy. I didn't show up to run 15th. I understand if that's what pace we have, then that's what pace we have. But if the opportunity presents itself to try to take a shot at the win, roll the dice. It's going to work out sometimes. It might not work out all the time. It might not work out hardly ever. But if you don't take the shot, you're not going to win. If you just do what everybody else does, you're not going to win the race. So
yeah, it's always such a hard call to make, and it's a good thing we're able to sit here and talk about this, because the last couple of weeks, the way these guys have ran, we would have never talked about any kind of green flag pit strategy. So props to all the guys in this field that are still running to even give us a shot to talk about whether they're going to pit under green or not.
Yeah, and we'll have to see how that works out, but I'm very much a shoot for the moon kind of guy. And like I said, that, the way I think, and the method behind the decisions I make on the racetrack. Even if you don't agree with them, you know why I do them. So I would take a shot here if I'm Chad Frankenfield. I think even if I'm John Cutlip, John is not going to win the race doing what everybody else is doing. You're 7 seconds back. Jeff Green, like, if I'm anybody back through here, I am pitting. Like, probably, I would be able to make the argument if I'm sitting there in 4th. Caution is out.
Caution. I see Brian Carey.
I would be burned. I would have been burned right there because I would have already been on pit road.
Yeah, and I just heard over our live chat, Ethan Burrell was about to be one of the first leaders, and that could have really burned him if he would have been on pit road.
And that's what I was getting ready to say. If I'm Tate Lytle on back, I could make the argument to pit. As we look here, the 74
Whoa.
and the 17. What?
That looked a little bit interesting there.
Yeah.
He's having some trouble getting back going.
Well, I think it looked like the wheel was broke. It looked like whatever happened, it did not want to turn left. The two slowest cars in the field wrecking each other back here for last is not a good look. As everyone is on pit road, it's a pivotal time here. You do not want to have the Denny Hamlin pit crew here, or the Denny Hamlin mistake speeding. This is basically, you want to avoid being Denny Hamlin right here. You do not want to be choking here when you need to just execute.
But can they make it from here, or is this
Oh yeah, we're well inside the window here. They can make it about 90 or 95 laps on fuel.
Oh yeah, I can't do math right now. I thought we had like, whew, never mind. I'm good. We only have 64 laps remaining.
Everyone comes off of pit road. Tyler Fode leads them off. David Tooker, Tommy Ryan is going to give up a couple spots. Joe Francis gets all the way up through here. He might be the lucky dog. Joe Francis might be the lucky dog. Tate Lytle, Hunter Smith, Wadsworth, Higgins, Cutlip Green. All these guys coming off of pit road. Yeah, and there you see Joe Francis. He was the lucky dog. He's giving it all back there. And so for the last time tonight, Carlos, we're going to throw it to you and let you do some sponsors.
Well, thank you so much. Actually, we're going to have a couple commercials to play here in lieu of that. So we'll be right back, hopefully, with the restart. Once we get some airtime for these fine folks.
Since 2010, race fans have had one burning question. When will the Xfinity Series return to Worldwide Technology Raceway? You asked, NASCAR delivered. On Saturday, September 6, 2025, the magic is back. The track that launched the legendary careers of Harvick, Busch, Keselowski, Edwards, and Earnhardt Jr. is now ready to write that next chapter. We're going to introduce you to a new crop of future champions and Hall of Famers. And in the process, we'll create more of the greatest moments in racing history. NASCAR Weekend 2025, the NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs, the Confluence Music Festival, and now 250 miles of the NASCAR Xfinity Series. 2 incredible races, 1 challenging track, a 3-day party of epic proportions. Go to www.raceway.com and lock in your weekend racing and camping packages for as little as $20 down.
And welcome back to Iowa, where we are going to get the green here with 60 laps to go. You're looking there at the front row, Tyler Fode, David Tooker, and there you see it coming across the bottom of the screen, Tally 74 car.
We've got a different player on the front row this time. If somebody's gonna take it to Fode, they've got to start doing it now.
And we got to hope that rash of yellows doesn't happen, but we all have to be aware that it probably is coming as the pace car is off. Green is out. Great launch there for Fode. Tooker tried to time it out, couldn't quite get it timed.
Got some rear end
damage.
damage.
Rear damage. Yeah, I think that's from the restart. Tommy was ready for him to go, and he was not gone yet. As they come off of turn number 2, Tyler Fody has a, I don't know, 2.5, 3-car length lead heading for turn 3 over David Tooker. Tate Lytle, you see Tommy Ryan backing up. Tommy with a big run to the inside. He's going to take a look here at Tate Lytle. See if he can make that pass on the bottom. This is as competitive as we have seen Tate tonight. There you see 3 wide back there. 2 Ethans working the very bottom. Got our picture-in-picture going on here. Jeff Green, Chad Frankenfield with the big wiggle there off of turn 4. Now, Josh, how hard is it to save tires and try to run fast here, knowing you only have to go 60 laps? It's not a full run. It's going to be very easy for some of these guys to abuse what they've got here on the car.
Yeah, this is where it's very easy. When you're running out of laps and you see a chance to win right there in front of you, that's definitely the easiest time to try and go too hard.
Oh no, Crump involved as well.
And that might be the end of Crump's night. Not good there. It looks like the 20 got sideways. And then as they were trying to shuffle through the wreck, I think Scott Crump made contact with somebody and they got him out of shape. Working the caution. This is something we talked about, Josh, that could be coming. We try to find the replay here of the caution.
Oh, I see what the issue was. I was on the wrong scene. My bad, fellas. My bad. That's on me.
And there you see the hood up on the Scott Crump machine. So the 20's going to spin, maybe a little bit of contact there, spinning him on the front stretch. Oh, and the 30 comes down the track into the 90 right there. As he was wrecking the 30. So here we go. The 20 gets loose, comes up the track right in front of the 6.
Little contact with the 6.
And then the 30 just comes down the racetrack. And okay, I see why the 30's coming down. It looks like something happened to Gerald right there too. They were wrecking on the top.
Yeah, and I think Scott put himself in that situation anyway, getting up into the 12. So Scott was a lot lower than he should have been.
Well, that's not optimal.
There's Stay Tuned Sports. That's a podcast. They sponsor an Elite Series here, the Truck Series you see on Sunday night. Something happens to Gerald Campbell right here too. So you see, also it's 3 wide. Scott probably doesn't get the 3 wide call. They squeeze into each other, but everything's good there. And then they start wrecking in front of them. You see the 30 coming through here. At this point, the 30 should be able to see everything happening. I'm just not sure.
I think the 30 goes down to maybe avoid any potential. Thinking the 20 might come back up the racetrack. And unfortunately, he clips into the 90 and sends the 90 down into the 20.
Yeah, and it's just unfortunate there. Like, Scott's had a bad night. He was trying to recover. And now it's an overnight here for the 90 machine of Scott Crump. And there you see the rear damage on that 40 machine from that last restart. That is a pretty heavy contact there from the 66.
And I know exactly when it happened. Let me see if I can quickly pull up that replay. Go on the green flag here with the 66.
Yeah, I think what happens here is Tooker tries to time it, doesn't time it just right. The 66 goes when the Tooker goes.
He almost had it right. That was really close.
That was really close, but really close on the counts and horseshoes and hand grenades, and that's a lot of damage to probably both cars. Tommy's probably got some nose damage too.
No?
No, not really.
That's a clean bumper. Clean bill of health.
Yep. Lots of damage there for the 40 though. I'm not sure if, I'm not sure what that damage is going to do. It might not do anything. What do you think about that damage that Fody's got there, Josh?
That's one of them that obviously we saw Tommy get into him, but without Tommy having front end damage, that's one of them that I almost have a sneaking suspicion that he might not actually have that damage. That might be one that pops out at some point here pretty soon.
And Josh, of course, your race control tonight. So why don't you talk to us about the cause for this last caution?
Yeah, we did. And all accounts that, I guess you could say that it looked similar to what we saw earlier between Scott and Chad. Difference here was, the 6 gets into the 20. It was a much more aggressive bump to the back, forced the 20 into the wall. The 6 even forced himself into the wall and then drove through him again. So we put the tally on the 6.
So there you heard it. Tally on the 6 car. So we're going to restart here with 51 laps to go.
But as I was talking about on the last restart, we'll see who can maybe make a run at Fody. And we've talked about him tonight. We've had a suspicion that he was going to get up there. I think it'll be Tate Lytle. He's came all the way from the back of the field. He's going to be restarting 3rd. Maybe those other guys just don't have anything for Tyler, and Tate will be the one to show him how it's done.
I'm looking back there is John Cutlett. But what's more important right here, Josh, before we go green? Control of the race or saving the tires?
I think at this point you want control of the race because we don't know how many more cautions we'll see.
Well, green is out. Great jump there for Tyler Fody. He's going to get clear out there all by himself. Tooker going to funnel into 2nd. And Tate has got the battle for 3rd with Tommy Ryan, and Tommy is on the top. And Tate knows he's got to put up a big fight because if Tommy gets there, Hunter Smith is going to be trying to follow. John Cutlip right in there behind him as well. Tate's going to slide up. What does Hunter do? Hunter's going to try to work that top side. As Tommy gets 3rd all by his lonesome. Cutlip trying to work his way through as well. He gets clear of the 6. Jeff Green, Chad Frankenfield battling back in here. Chad's had a very up and down night. Involved in some incidents. An ill-timed yellow when he was lapped. Had to stay out on old tires one time and was kind of in the way for a little bit. Nonetheless, here he is fighting inside the top 10.
Yeah, that's why we're always quick to get on guys when they stay out on old tires and we know they're going to be in the way. But this just goes to show that you do those things because eventually it can turn back in your favor. And Chad was way off the pace earlier, but his strategy, if you will, what he had to do, that's turned back into his favor. So
new leader, David Tooker.
Right.
David Tooker trying to take the lead up here, racing with Tyler Fody.
It's going to be a hard pass to complete, but we'll see how much how committed he is to trying to get this done quickly on the bottom.
There you see it side by side, and like you mentioned, it's really hard to make that work on the bottom, but Tooker's trying to make it happen.
He's got a good position on him. He's got Fody up the track in 1 and 2. I think if he could have dove in there and ran the bottom a little bit better, he had Fody in a real good spot. If he can beat him through 1 and 2 again like he did last time, he might have learned that he needs to go further to the bottom next time in 3 and 4.
Yeah, and here we go, off of turn number 2. Every lap on the bottom, it gets harder and harder, and you see it there. A little bit of slide out of the tires.
Yeah.
Tooker overdrives the corner, trying to do a slide job, doesn't get clear, and that's going to kill his... Oh, he nearly bounces off the side of the Ford, and that's going to cost him a shot at Fody. It's going to cost him 2nd place as well, as here comes Tommy Ryan. That's what happens when you're not 110% committed to a slide job. I think he just needed to send it down in there and slide. I think he was too worried about where the 40 machine was and did not complete the slide job, and now here he is battling for 2nd, stuck in the non-optimal line, and he loses that 2nd spot.
Yeah, I think what we've seen from Tommy Ryan tonight, he's going to have something for Fody. It's just whether he can actually get to his quarter panel this time.
And you take a look here at Cutlip trying to battle Hunter Smith here for 5th place.
Yeah, it's we don't need to sleep on John anymore. Once he gets clear of Hunter Smith, we've seen that he's been one of the fastest cars all night. You know, he started up front. He ran up front for most of the first half of the race until that caution fell. That was good for some guys and bad for others, and he's finally back.
And just behind John, working the very top. So we know he's not saving nothing. It's Chad Frankenfield.
Yeah, you get Iowa's a pretty good track that a lot of times you can go in late in the race and put on 2 tires and be able to just hold the top. You put Chad Frankenfield close enough to the front where he can maybe take 2 and show these boys that he meant business when he said he was going to start being more aggressive.
Yeah, but I don't know if 2 tires is going to hold off 4 tires. I think it would be, as Tommy Ryan battling for the lead with Fody, you see them swapping there on our leaderboard. Another guy getting to the inside of Fody. Now, is Fody letting this happen, or is his car not as good with that damage?
I don't think the damage will be affecting him at all. He's just running the defensive line right now. He knows that they're not going to pass him unless they're able to get to the top, but Tommy almost did it. We saw Fody overdrive the corner entry to make sure he got a better run than Tommy down to the bottom.
So are you saying he's trying to save his tires a little bit? And these guys are just trying to make the pass?
I think he's trying to do a little bit of both, but he knows they're going for it, and you know, he's got to run harder than he's run all night.
Tommy tried, he just couldn't gas it up. Tommy's learning every time, but also every time he's burning just a little bit off of those rear tires. That right rear specifically. This is a pass that and Tommy's in the wall. A little bit of wall contact, a little bit of trying too hard.
Yeah, but we saw Tommy got really good run getting to the bottom 1 and 2. That's one thing I always look for when I come here. You can get that thing hooked really good on the bottom and get a really good run, and it's carried, and we see all the way through 3 and 4 here. He's got another run on him down here in 1 and 2.
This is a big run. Do you see the slider down here? Maybe not at this end. Oh, we see a little bit of contact. Oh, Tommy's really struggling. Just cannot make that pass on the bottom.
Yeah, it's just that little bit of over-aggressiveness on entry killed the exit, but Tommy's been really good the last few laps, rolling that top lane, getting back to Fody. And like you said, he's learning. He's gonna know where he's gonna need to go next time, and if he can just get the right rear quarter panel, he can get it done.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's learning all this, but he's burning his tires up doing it. And I'm not seeing Fody sliding around too much at all.
Look who's coming!
There it is, Circle Tate Lytle there on your screen. And Tommy's starting to not even get the big runs off the corner, running higher. So Tommy's really wearing his stuff out here, trying to make this pass. He's got a little bit of contact back there, back at the top of the screen. Thought we were about to get a caution.
Oh, we might.
Well, the 6 is down there on the apron. That's Wadsworth. Going to be blending back into 3. Gets it corrected. Lost all his track position, though. So these guys are trying to get a caution, Josh, and you talked about 2 tires being an option. 2 tires might be the only way you're going to get in front of Tyler Fody.
Yeah, we're I don't know if we're close enough to the end, but we haven't ran that many laps where, you know, if
and here goes Tommy taking another look.
Good choice.
Trying to make this pass is Tommy Ryan. Struggle for everybody. We saw David Tooker take shots. We saw Tommy try to take shots. Tate Lytle's up here now saying, look out, boys, let me take a shot. Heading down into turn number 1. Tommy's going to try to look to the outside instead of taking that dive on the bottom. And this is what you talked about. If he can get to that right rear, that'd be worst case scenario for Fody.
Now, one thing I noticed the last time we ran Iowa, a higher corner entry in turn 1 was pretty advantageous, and I hadn't seen anybody do it the amount that we were able to, but it doesn't look like your high corner entry is quite as fast as it used to be. I don't know if that's a difference in like an aero package we have with these cars or not.
At what point does Tommy start having to try to stay in line here on the top and try to just keep chasing that right rear? Because these guys behind him are close enough now where if he goes to the bottom and it doesn't hook up quite the way he needs it to, you know, he could be in danger of losing second.
Yeah, I think he's just on go. He either wants to lead or he probably doesn't care. He'll probably take fourth if that's the worst case scenario.
As you can see, they're starting to drive really hard behind Fody. They're driving into the corner, trying to pick that throttle up pretty early. He's going to stay behind him. He's going to look to that right rear this time. They just don't quite have what they need to be able to do it. I think every lap that goes by here is positive for Fody. I think Fody's the one guy up here really trying to save his tires, and Tate Lytle gets around David Tooker. David Tooker let him go there for third. That tells me Tooker has used his stuff up, and he thinks that it is better for him to let Tate go and try to win the race than it is to try to stay there and fight for third.
Yeah, I think at this point it's maybe going to be just a matter of time before Tate gets around the 66. If Tommy's not able to get Tyler Fody, Tate is going to be looking for the 66, and then, like I said, before the restart, he might be the one.
Here we are riding on board with the days going by machine. Tommy doesn't get it hooked up there in 1 and 2. That's exactly what I was talking about. Now he's under attack.
We've been able to see when he's able to get to the bottom, he's been able to make good corner entries, but he just can't make it stick on corner exit. See Tate clear up, and he clears the 66 in one corner.
Yeah, one corner is all it took for Tate to get clear. Look how deep Tate is able to drive down in there and make this thing rotate. That's incredible to be able to get into the corner that deep and still get this thing to rotate. Here he goes once again, looking underneath Fody. Cannot quite get it done. We've seen a lot of guys take that run at Tyler Fody, and they haven't been able to do it yet. Coming off of turn 2, there'll be 24 to go at the line. There goes Tate, going to try to get up here and get the big run off of turn 4. 24 laps to go. Fody trying to figure out a way to keep him back there. Tate trying to figure out a way to make the pass. Tate trying to get to that right rear. Cannot quite get there.
Yeah, I almost feel like at this point it's going to be a matter of time before Tate gets around Tyler. As opposed to when we were seeing the 66 try and do it, he was having good entries but couldn't get a good exit. Tate looks like he's driving really good on both ends of these corners, entry and exit.
Yeah, Tate's getting into the corner deeper than anybody that I've seen tonight, and that thing's rotating here in the middle, not giving up any time whatsoever. And they are gapping everybody out the mirror. Heading down here to turn number 3. Riding on board here with Tate Lytle, looking up there at Tyler Fody. It's been a trying night for Tate, trying to recover from an earlier accident or two.
One thing I've noticed, just riding on board with Tate Lytle, he's got a lot of speed compared to Tyler Fody, but I almost feel like he's picking up the throttle just a little bit too soon on both ends of the racetrack, and it's killing his corner exits, and Tyler's able to drive away from him.
Yeah, Tyler's still the one guy out here I'm seeing not really slide around under acceleration.
I say that, and we see Tate has his best exit of turn 2 that he's had, but Tyler's just going to be able to hold that outside lane and get a good run off of turn 4.
And there you see Tate sliding around once again. Cutlip now looking to back. Oh, little contact.
Back up a little bit.
And I understand that these two had contact last night too. That ended up with Fody getting spun.
Fody was not happy about that.
So it's fresh in the mind of these guys after what happened last night. And like I said, behind these guys, Cutlip trying to take the spot from Tooker. I think Tooker's going to let him go, let him have it. Tate's going to get to that right rear. Not quite. Fody comes right up there across the front of that Toyota Supra.
Look who's in fourth. That bright neon yellow car is starting to show up closer and closer.
That is right. John Cutlip up there, Pat, trying to take a look. Here goes Fody taking a look. Can Tate make it stick? Tate just a little bit loose up off the corner, trying to get that power down like you talked about. I'll tell you what, one guy that's really giving up here too is Chad Frankenfield. He is holding up a line of cars back here behind these boys. He is really starting to struggle back here, is Chad Frankenfield. Once again, Tate taking that look on the inside, diving down in there.
Yeah, Tate's. Like we talked about a little bit earlier, whether Tyler was running hard or if he was just running just enough defensive. I think he has just been kind of messing with these guys, just running just as fast as he needs to, because Tate's running really hard behind him, and Tyler's just doing what he needs to do, and he's been solid every lap.
Yeah, we haven't seen that 40 machine out of shape at all. You know, these other guys picking up the throttle are getting loose. They're back and forth sawing on the wheel. Tyler has not done any of that. Yeah. He has just been steady Eddie.
And I don't think it's going to be just them two that decide this race. Tate going at Fody as hard as he has brought Tommy, Ryan, and Jonathan Cutlip back into the equation.
The thing about Tommy is I think he used his tires up before Tate got there, trying to make that pass on the 40.
And I think John Cutlip is handling better than all three of the guys in front of him.
Yeah, that's the guy. Depending on how John Cutlip, how much time it takes him to get around the 66, I think John's the guy that's got the best tires left. It's just so hard in 14 laps to pass three guys. I mean, that's a difficult task.
He's probably got plenty of time if he can make as quick a work of the 66 as we saw Tate do. He can get to him as hard as they're running up front.
Tate trying to take a slide job. Couldn't quite get there.
Right,
because every lap that Tate gets there, and the further up Tyler's inside Tate gets, that slows both of them down, especially if they're making contact. So John is seeing that, and he knows he needs to make this pass as fast as he can.
Yeah, Tate is not giving a whole lot of room to Fody on these corner exits. He's just pushing up and saying, you're going to run up there where I need you to run. They come off of turn 4, still side by side. John trying to make this pass as well.
I think John's going to be able to surprise them. Fody's going to have his eyes on what Tate's doing to him, and he's going to be able to just go the opposite way.
Tate got clear. Heading down to turn 3.
It's John Cutlip's there. Still battling Tommy Ryan for third, but again, I think the second he gets clear, he's going to be the one to beat.
Here we go. How much is Fody thinking about last night? If he is, will we see the bumper be in play here? Coming to 10 to go this time. Just 10 laps left here in Iowa. Maybe. Might get some green white checkers later. We don't know.
See, Cutlip's clear for third.
Here we come off of turn 2. Definitely see how much better Cutlip is. Cutlip's going to go to that real high, wide, and handsome line down here. Tate sliding out there to the wall.
And you can see how much better it did for him. We saw Tate a little bit sideways off of 4. Fody maybe just a little bit too, and John came off of there pretty straight and gained about a car length. And see Tate sliding again. That's what John Cutlip wants to see.
I can't imagine if you're Tyler Fody, you're just going to give him this top side down here. Tate's really starting to struggle here. I mean, we saw it coming. Question is, what's he got left in the 40 machine? What does the 5 have left? Does the 56 have anything left? And is Tyler thinking about last night if he maybe decides he's just going to use the bumper?
Yeah, I know John is thinking of how he's going to get this done. I know in the past he's had a handful of races probably slip away from him that he thinks he could have won. You know, when he was still learning, you know, John progressed on this sim really fast, and you know, this is an incredible drive he's had. These are two of the best drivers in the entire Elite Racing League. It'd be a big feat if he was able to pass both of them for this win.
I'm gonna tell you what, Tate is really having to work now. He got the lead, but I think he had to kill the tires to do it. Taking a look here at Ethan Stanley back here trying to get around Seth Rawls. Not quite going to get it done. Seth's going to stay and hang in there on that top side.
Yeah, and Seth Rawls is a name we haven't mentioned at all tonight. He's, I think he's up there inside the top 10 for the first time, so good run for the 25 car.
Well, he's one of those guys who got burned by that caution earlier as well. He had just came off the pit road and after he made that green flag stop.
Oh.
Real tight right there. They all survived. As here you see John trying to go to the very bottom to make this pass. Fody's up on the top side. 3 laps to go. Or 4 to go, excuse me. They head down into turn number 1.
Yeah, I know Tate's been slipping and sliding. The best chance Fody may have to win is just to see if John can get there. I know he's not going to pull over for him, but that might be the only chance either of them has, is to not race for second.
I'll tell you this, Fody's close enough where if you feel like you were wrong last night, I just think you got to take a shot if you're going to. But Tate really widens out the gap right there in 1 and 2.
Yeah, we don't know how aggressive he'll be to win a Grand National race, but we know it's in his repertoire, so I wouldn't put anything past him.
Just 2 more laps around this Iowa Speedway. Tate getting quite the gap now. He's almost to the point of you wouldn't get there unless you really dove it in there. So it's up to John now to try to take second and make it 1-2 here for Pro Edge.
Yeah,
Fody's on the track.
As we see the white flag, and we were wondering earlier if Fody was just pacing or if the 66 was making him use his stuff up, and I think we've answered that question with him losing the lead.
Yeah, I think so too. John's going to take a run here at second, but I think the battle's going to be for second. They head down here out of turn number 4. Tate Lytle is going to win this race. Tyler Fody's going to come home second. Cutlip's going to be third. Tommy Ryan fourth. David Tooker, Hunter Smith, Chad Frankenfield, Ethan Stanley, Jared Rexing, and Seth Rawls will round out our top 10 here tonight. What a race here at Iowa. We had a few cautions here and there, but we had some long green flag runs as well. Ended this race on about a 50-lap green flag run. Got to see some great racing here with these boys sliding around.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see when we get to talk to Tyler if he's going to attribute that last run to the rear end damage, or if he's going to tell us he just drove his stuff off trying to guard the lead.
But nonetheless, while we get ready to have our post-race interviews with Tate, Tyler, and Cutlip, we will take one more commercial break, and we will see you on the other side for post-race coverage here from Iowa.
Of sellout crowds, 3 years of edge of your seat action, 3 years of jaw-dropping finishes. Worldwide Technology Raceway has rocked the world of NASCAR, and now NASCAR is giving us another reason to celebrate. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs are coming. Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Just when you thought the racing couldn't get any more intense, now every single lap matters. One wrong move could be the difference between elimination and being crowned the king. The Enjoy Illinois 300, the Confluence Music Festival, the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs, and for the first time in 15 years, the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday, September 6th. Don't be on the outside looking in. See history being made in your own backyard. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
To Iowa Speedway, where I believe Josh Adams is standing by with Jonathan Cutlip down there.
Hey, John, it's Chris, Carlos, and Josh up in the booth. You got us?
I do.
We saw you have a pretty eventful night, going from the front to the back to the front. Just tell us how you made that run back to the front happen.
Ooh, yeah, it was definitely difficult for sure. Track position was definitely something I didn't want to lose tonight with how just difficult it was to pass. It was just what was good at one end was, not where you wanted to be in the other end. So it was just trying to manage, the best of both, just timing both things in the run. But yeah, it was just once we got put in the back, it was just slow and methodical on the way up.
Yeah, you did a great job coming back, and we were watching you close in on Tate and Tyler there at the end, and I really thought you were gonna have something for him because Tate was starting to slide around, and them racing each other, they were making it really hard on each other. But did you just not have enough at the end? Did you maybe run just a little bit too hard coming back through some of them guys?
Not really. Like I was saying, it was pretty tough to make passes. It was pretty slick up top, and Tyler was doing a pretty good job at defending the lower lane, which is pretty much where you want to be longer run. And 3 and 4 is just I couldn't get enough of momentum up top, and the bottom started going away towards the end. I just had to try something, and it actually had more grip than I thought it would. It just wasn't enough to get to him.
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling that's what you might say. I recollected that last time that we were at Iowa, it seemed like the top lane did a little bit better in 1 and 2, and it looked like you guys just couldn't make the runs on the top in 1 and 2 as good as we used to be able to. But a great run for you nonetheless, coming home in P3. Who do you have to shout out and thank before we let you go?
Approach teammates. It's fun just hopping over here once in a while just to be able to race. Congrats to Tate on the win. Race CPI. The teammates are going for the Coke Championship tomorrow, so I'm really pulling for them. Hopefully, one of the three get it done for us. That'd be cool to see. Yeah, you guys up here in the booth. I'm sure it was a fun race to watch. We were spread out and the racing was intense.
Yeah, it was definitely fun for us. You guys did a great job. 7 cautions and 250 laps. You guys did 14 cautions and 100 laps last week at Texas. So definitely kudos to all 42 drivers in the field making this worth our while up here. And you really good, really fast. You're really hard to miss in that bright yellow. So we'll let you go and look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you. That was a lot of fun, a lot of hard work. It's always fun when you get to do that.
Yeah, it's always fun watching you, John. Good luck in the next one.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Well, that was John Cutlip, and I think, Josh, you're going to run down there to the next car there, and you're going to talk to the guy who came up just a little bit short tonight.
Yeah, I had to run down to the other end of pit road to catch up with Tyler Fody. Tyler, you got a copy?
Yeah, we're here.
We saw you pretty much dominate. You looked like Kyle Larson out there, leading most of the race, and it slipped away right at the end. What more did you need to be able to hold off Tate?
Pretty simply, just not the 30 seconds of damage on the rear end from I think it was one of the last restarts, 2 or 3 before the end there. Basically made the car undrivable. It just completely upset the balance. I was wrecking loose. Basically from the jump there, and had to take some pretty big swings with the bias to try and counter that. So that's why I couldn't really get away like I was wanting to. I kind of had a rhythm and a line to just keep on running on all those restarts, and it was working the whole time, and I got that damage, and it was just, I was a sitting duck. I had Tooker taking shots there, and then Tommy taking shots. I just couldn't get away, just because of how loose it was. Just couldn't get off the corners. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one thing I questioned with Chris up here, whether we were gonna attribute some of it to the damage, or if they just made you run harder that last run than you had to all night, like you said, taking shots at you. Nonetheless, you did a great job holding them off for as long as you did. It was a good race to watch. I just mentioned with John, you guys came out and gave us 14 cautions and 100 laps last week at Texas, and then came out in a full distance 250 lapper at Iowa and put out 7. So it's a pretty good run by everybody throughout the field for the most part. So who do you have to thank and shout out and all that stuff before we let you go?
Yeah, I guess I got to shout out Tate for stealing another one for me, but despite the circumstances, that was a super, super fun battle. Definitely one of the best that I've had in recent memory. I was glad we were able to keep it off each other for the most part, and hopefully it put on a pretty good ending there for everybody. But yeah, despite that, second still sucks, but I do got to thank everyone with the Lake Norman guys for coming out here and running. We got everything pretty much dialed in. Stanley had the ill-timed caution, kind of messed him up, and Trump seemed like he was in every single wreck, and yeah, everyone else just kind of did their thing, but it's always fun running with those guys, so shout out to them. Shout out to Cutlip for finishing third and also being my painter, the whole team's painter really, painting everything for us, and then shout out to you guys here for adminning and running the cameras and doing the commentating and all that y'all do behind the scenes so we can watch these races back.
Yeah, well, we definitely appreciate that, Tyler, and we appreciate Carlos coming on board tonight, picking up some of the slack. And you mentioned John Cutlip being your painter. He puts the design on all your guys' cars, and he's just out there with the plain yellow car, so they're pretty simple.
I think we've used up all his paint buckets there. He doesn't have much left.
Yeah, I'm starting to think maybe that's what happened. But Tyler, we'll let you go, and good luck in the next one. See you wherever we're at next week, and I'm sure you'll be in the fight for the win again. So we'll pull Tate up here and let you go.
Yeah, man, appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah, now I am standing by down here with the winner. Now, Tate, we're gonna take a minute here. I got a lot to say to you. So we saw you tonight not qualify with your teammates up at the very front. Wondered what was going on because it was a pro edge show there. They swept the top 5. You had to stop on the backstretch and go ahead and get a fast food order when they wrecked there in that first big wreck. We saw you get involved in another wreck later on down the road. And then in that middle part of the race, you had to fix your damage. And then here you came up here at the end to win the race. So talk to us about the night that we witnessed from your perspective.
It was honestly pretty crazy. I was just saying that's the races that kind of make you keep wanting to do it. Yeah, I literally got on the sim during qualifying because the race start is so close to when I get off of work. So hauled ass home, got on, qualified. I want to say like 17th maybe, not great. Fell back to 20th or so, and then yeah, stopped to the backstretch, and that pushed me all the way back to like 30th. And then Chad and Crump, I had like a minute of damage. Chad and Crump got together, and Crump came right up into me, and then so I had the minute of damage, was able to fix a little bit of it. Still had like 40 seconds, and that middle long run, I felt like we had something because we got up to like 10th or 11th from way back there with 30 seconds of damage. So decided to fix it, restarted like 17th, and was able to get up to 4th and still had some tire left on it. So I knew if I could keep the tires cool, I was going to have something for Fody. I didn't think we were going to put on that great of a race. That was pretty fun, pretty clean, maybe a little door here and there, but nothing crazy. And yeah, it's not too often you get to race side by side with Fody and get the upper hand.
Yeah, and you mentioned that race there at the end. Now, you were witness to your teammate David Tooker trying to pass him, couldn't get the job done. Tommy Ryan took a few shots at him, couldn't get the job done. What did you do different, or what did you have in your car that they didn't have in theirs that allowed you to be able to make the bottom side work, get clear, and then ultimately shove him back to second?
Honestly, I have no idea, but those are nights that make it fun when you've got something that the rest of the guys don't necessarily have. And I mean, I don't know. It was just a really fun night, and I was a little bummed there because I just never thought like I was gonna get a chance to really show the speed that I had, and was able to make up some ground there in that middle part of the race, or I should say middle to end, because I didn't get any stage points. So yeah, it was a fun one. I don't normally watch the races back, but I'll definitely have to watch this one back. But before you guys kick me out, I want to shout out Days Gone By of Just Racing Apparel. Brent's he's put his name on my virtual car for like the last 4 or 5 years, and it seems like he's going to continue to do so. So always fun to park him in Victory Lane. Shout out to my dad if he's still listening. I know he just listened to 2 others talk, and I can see how that'd be a little boring, but you know, if you're still listening, shout out Dad, Jack, Wheezy. I know they put it on the big screen, and that's a little intro to racing for baby Jack. But yeah, that was a crazy fun race.
Yeah, now here we go. I'm gonna step this aside a little bit here. You're a friend of the booth. You're not here as much as you used to be, and I'm not saying you don't win and run top 3. You're here for that a lot, but you used to pop in here with us and do a little bit of talking and a little bit of talking about what we're seeing on track and who's going to do what. Well, we saw that feud reignite tonight. You mentioned it, Scott and Chad. Where do you think that's going to go from here?
Nothing. I don't know. I think if he was going to do something, he would have when he had a chance. But yeah, I don't see anything else really happening. I feel like the rest of us, they're all barking, not a whole lot of bites. So.
Well, we were really trying to sell it up here. We wanted to see some crazy action, some.
Well, that's
some
your
swings.
job. You're supposed to sell it. So I think Crump gave him a little bump down the backstretch, passed on the message, and then went on his way. So I don't.
Yeah.
The problem is they both run so hard at the beginning of the run. Well, actually, Crump's gotten. He's not near as bad, but Chad tonight was crazy. So I think that'll be a thing to watch, especially Wednesday at Atlanta in the bogged down Cup car with the Super Speedway package. It's going to be an interesting one.
Well, Chad warned everybody, right, a couple days ago or this morning that he wasn't going to give anymore. He'd been given and taken with us, and I hadn't seen a whole lot of that giving he was talking about, but he said it was all take from here on out.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Chad's better when it's all take. The problem is, though I don't think all those wrecks were of his doing necessarily, but when you race people the way that he races people don't give you as much room, and that's what gets you wrecked. So, I don't know. Me and Fody are side by side just as much as anybody, and with the exception of last night in the S's at Sonoma, I don't think we've ever really touched doors a whole lot. So, I think it's just a respect thing, and you see those two in a lot of incidents, but it's just because it's not because they're a hack, because they're really good drivers, but they race everyone so aggressively, and then they won't let anyone go if they're faster, and they make it hard on everyone, and that kind of wears on everybody, and they just get a foot less of room than the rest of the guys get. You know what I mean? So I think that's it's starting to add up for him, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe he'll come out to Atlanta and show us off.
Yeah, you are right. We'll see. But what we saw tonight was that 56 machine start there in the mid-pack, get caught up in a few things. You passed the whole field. Felt like 2 or 3 times there. So you were definitely one of the best cars tonight. And you put it up there in victory lane. And like you mentioned, days going by does a lot for Elite and whatnot. So it's always cool to see your paint scheme run at the front. And your paint scheme's changed the least over these last couple, years, 3 years, however long you've been in the Elite. So easy to pick out.
Yep.
And easy to take a lot of pictures. So everybody go out there and check out Days Going By and give Tate a follow on Twitter as well. So we'll see you, I guess, Wednesday at Atlanta, Tate, and then we'll see you back here a week from tonight, right? So.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. Poor Fody, I feel bad. His average running position was 1.6. Mine was 14.4.
Well, he mentioned that. I'll tell you what, he said something about the damage, too. He said you're lucky you got the damage.
I'll let him think that, but I'll think what I want to think. He can think what he wants to think. We'll go race again on Wednesday.
All right, Tate, congrats on the win. We'll see you Wednesday,
Thanks,
and we'll
guys.
see you back here next week.
Yep, appreciate it. You guys have a good one.
Well, Carlos, thanks to you for stepping up tonight here. And a lot of things have went on behind the scenes that have happened this week, and we won't get into all that. But Carlos stepped up tonight in a big way to produce. Josh, thanks to you for coming up here and being part of this broadcast tonight. Any final thoughts from you, Josh, or you, Carlos?
Yeah, like I mentioned to a couple of those guys, they had half the cautions this week on a short track that they had last week with 150 more laps. So kudos to the entire field. And then one piece on what Tate just said, they'll line up and race each other again on Wednesday. Maybe in a negative for Tate is they're going to race at a super speedway, and he's got like the Kyle Larson stat line when it comes to a super speedway and Elite. So Tate or Tyler Fody might be up there doing the race, and we'll see if Tate's able to finish that race.
All right, and how about you, Carlos? Any final thoughts from you?
No, just a fantastic race overall by everybody involved. Very minimal contacts, no real funny business going on, and just beautiful, hard, clean racing for the end. You can't really ask for anything else out of these cars and these tracks and these guys. So can't wait for next week. Really bummed I'm not going to be driving, honestly, but as excited to hang out here with the boys.
That's right. And it was a great show tonight, and a great show because of you, Carlos. There, great camera work tonight. Worked through some difficulties. I just want to give a shout out to everybody who helped make this thing happen. Dave Huck, of course, Carlos and Josh here with me tonight. Chad, we give him a hard time. We gave him a hard time right there in the interview, but he does an awful lot for Elite to help this thing get going and keep going. So shout out to Chad, everybody at Elite Racing, everybody at the Elite Racing Network, of course, our wonderful sponsors. Mark Rebilas tonight. He's the sponsor of the series. Blue Egg Marketing, and of course, couldn't do all this without Worldwide Technology Raceway. So shout out to all our great sponsors and all the people behind the scenes who helped get this thing rolling. And we will see you next week, same time, for another race in the Grand National Series.